On a cruise ship, the best student in school, Gao Chenyu, confesses to Ellen, the school goddess. Everyone cheers them on. Meanwhile, an uninterested student, Qin Tian, watches Master Talk's wilderness adventure vlogs. Just then, the weather turns stormy, and everyone panics and goes back to the cabins. Qin Tian wonders who mentioned Titanic before. He knows it is too late to go back to the cabins and runs off somewhere. He tries to grab a float and the ship capsizes. Everything turns dark and the wilderness system activates. Qin Tian got washed up on the shore and woke up. He survived, but he can't see anyone on the island. There might be a rescue team, but he must hold out first. He discovers coconuts in the area, and he is glad that he can use the knife now that he bought after falling in love with Master Talk's vlogs. As he drinks coconut water, he remembers hearing a system when he was unconscious. Just then, the system presents the novice package. He gets surprised by the system window and clicks on the package. He acquired 2 books about common plants and animals. The books got absorbed in his head, and Qin Tian gained some weird knowledge. He notices that he can see the information on the coconuts. Just then, he hears a loud scream and realizes that there is someone else on the island. Qin Tian runs in the direction of the scream and discovers Ellen being attacked by a venomous snake. Ellen screams for help. Qin Tian grabs the snake and slams it against a tree. He then tells Ellen to cover herself first. Ellen gets embarrassed. She feels thankful to Qin Tian but wonders if she is not attractive because he didn't even look at her. They both introduce themselves to each other, and Ellen is glad she got to meet a companion from the shipwreck. Later, they eat coconuts and drink the water. Qin Tian asks if Ellen has a phone, but she claims that all her stuff is gone. However, Ellen is optimistic that rescue teams will come. Qin Tian tells her first to prepare a fire to drive away insects and snakes. Ellen wonders how they can start a fire, and Qin Tian suggests looking for something useful on the beach. They have been walking for an hour, but the beach is too clean. While Qin Tian is thinking, Ellen finds something. She discovers a plastic bottle and plans to throw it away. Qin Tian stops her. Ellen wonders how it will be useful. Qin Tian gathers some wood and grass. He uses the bottle with water like a magnifying glass, and he successfully starts a fire. Later at night, Ellen wonders if they are going to starve to death while waiting for rescue. Qin Tian reassures her that rescue will come in a few days, and they can survive for a week with the resources they have. He needs to lie in order to calm Ellen's mind. Qin Tian then brings out the snake and starts butchering it. Ellen asks if it is their dinner, and Qin Tian confirms. Ellen swears not to eat it. Qin Tian cooks the snake meat and later eats it while exclaiming that it is delicious. Ellen tries to ignore her, but Qin Tian keeps saying that it is delicious. Ellen stops him and grabs a stick of snake meat. She happily eats it. Qin Tian is glad to encounter the snake and wonders what happened to the system. Just then, the system grants him points for lighting a bonfire, surprising Qin Tian in the process. He notices that only he can see the system. Ellen worries, and Qin Tian wonders if he can tell her about the system. He thinks he might be dissected and experimented on once people find out about the system. He checks more details and sees that the system is like those in games. He wonders where to use the points, and an exchange store appears. As he scrolls, he notices something that might be useful. Almost everything is expensive, and he doesn't have that many points yet. He closes the exchange store and lies down on the ground. He plans to collect stranded fish and shrimp to give their bodies nutrients. He then notices that Ellen is already sleeping and plans to talk about it tomorrow. A few hours later, Qin Tian wakes up due to the cold weather. He sees Erin shivering and he wakes her up. Qin Tian is glad that she's fine. Erin gets surprised and panics. Qin Tian tries to explain, but Erin keeps shouting about her misunderstandings. Qin Tian turns around and tells her to get near the fire to avoid freezing to death. Erin feels the coldness and gets near the fire. Qin Tian finds the temperature between day and night weird. The two only got thin clothes considering they were cruising near the equator. The shivering Qin Tian then suggests that Erin and she hug each other to survive the night. However, she disagrees. Even with the campfire, Erin still feels cold and almost numb. She worries about getting close to a boy. However, she sees Qin Tian, her savior, shivering. She stands up and tells Qin Tian to close his eyes. Qin Tian wonders why she is undressing, and Erin embarrassingly mentions the scenes she saw in movies. Qin Tian claims it only happens when you have thick clothes. They have thin clothes that are enough to transfer heat to each other. Qin Tian then wraps his arms around Erin and they find it warmer now. The next day, Erin wakes up and sees that it is already daybreak. She finds the scenery beautiful. Seeing that it is low tide, Qin Tian runs to find stranded crabs and shrimp. Despite Erin struggling to catch crabs, they manage to acquire breakfast. Later, Qin Tian starts preparing the crabs. Erin wonders why he throws away the carapace with meat and roe. Qin Tian explains that crabs are cold, which can make your stomach uncomfortable. While grilling their catch, Qin Tian suggests building a refuge in the forest. The beach is colder at night and they are at risk. Qin Tian also mentions that the forest has more resources. Before leaving for the forest, they need to have some water and leave a signal for help. They look up at some coconuts and Qin Tian removes his belt. He turns it into a bipedal rope and uses it to climb the tree. He tells Ellen to get away and starts plucking out the coconuts. He is glad the fresh coconuts got more water and pours it into the bottle they found. Qin Tian tells Ellen to throw away the coconuts she is carrying. Ellen finds it a waste and Qin Tian tells her that she will vomit if she drinks too much coconut water and has diarrhea. They left the beach with a help signal. The two traverse the forest and take a break afterward. While replenishing their liquids, Ellen asks Qin Tian why he keeps observing small bushes along the way. Qin Tian then mentions that the snake from yesterday usually lives in freshwater. Aaron gets excited knowing that there is freshwater nearby. She wonders how they can find one, and Qin Tian points out a path free of grasses and branches. Ellen realizes that animals are like humans, so the animals might have taken the path to get water. As they continue traveling, Ellen asks if Qin Tian is a person who loves outside activities. Qin Tian claims he is someone who loves outside activities without practical experience. Just then, Ellen hears something. Qin Tian hears it too and drags Ellen somewhere. They find a free-flowing body of fresh water. Ellen gets excited and Qin Tian washes his face with the water. Ellen also picks up the water and Qin Tian stops her. The two later move a bit further and Ellen suggests taking refuge on the riverbank. However, Qin Tian reminds her that wild animals will bump into them. They find a flat area, and Qin Tian tells Aaron to collect large leaves and branches while he finds wood for the campfire and tent building. Qin Tian finds some dried wood and quickly makes a campfire. He remembers passing by some trees that he can use for a tent. However, he only got a knife. He remembers something and goes to the riverbank to find a rock, which he turns into an axe later. He uses the stone axe to cut down a small tree. Later, he ties up the small trees he cut and returns to their refuge. Ellen greets him with some banana leaves she found. She claims there is a banana field near the riverbank. They now have materials, so they start constructing their tent. Qin Tian plans to make a one-sided tent. He sharpens a tree branch and sticks it to the ground. He finishes building the tent, but Ellen looks disappointed. Qin Tian claims it is helpful to expose the fire's warmth in their direction. Just then, the system rewards him points for building a trash tent. He laughs, seeing the system laugh at his work. Now that they have a tent, the next problem is food. The seafood and coconuts are quite far from their current location. He then plans to visit the banana field Ellen discovered. However, their new problem is jungle mosquitoes that can cause fever if bitten too much. Ellen asks for help and Qin Tian attracts the mosquitoes with a whistle. He burns some leaves so he can smoke out the mosquitoes. Their condition is better now and Qin Tian suggests keeping watch on wild animals. However, Ellen is already fast asleep. She lays her down and decides to keep watch instead. He uses the time to make some rope using tree bark. Morning comes and Ellen wakes up from her refreshing sleep. She finds the rope Qin Tian made and the latter threatens her to do the night watch next. She apologizes and offers to do the night watch, but Qin Tian doesn't trust her after seeing that she can easily sleep while sitting. He then asks where the banana field is and she points out the direction. Qin Tian notices the nearby bushes and discovers raspberries. Ellen tastes them, but they are too sour. It seems like they are not ripe yet. They later find the banana field, and Qin Tian ties a rope to a rock. He throws it at the banana stalk and tries to pull it down. The banana tree breaks instead and falls on Qin Tian. He pulls out a banana and offers it to Ellen. Because Ellen refused, he peeled the banana and ate it himself. However, the banana is hard and Ellen mentions that it might be raw. Qin Tian claims that they can't eat it because it is a wild banana with huge seeds. Seeing as the tree hasn't gone into mutation, the bananas are inedible. Qin Tian then suggests eating meat instead. Ellen wonders what it is and Qin Tian shows the banana leaf with a worm. He claims that the banana worm has 6 times the protein content of a buffalo's meat. They return to their camp and they grill the worms. They ate them, and Ellen enjoyed them. She finds it more satisfying than the snake meat. She then discovers Qin Tian changing the bottle's shape. He claims it is for catching fish. He saw some fish in the stream and he can use the bottle to trap them. He explains how the trap works. The system awards him some points for creating the trap. Ellen wonders what to use now to drink water, and Qin Tian suggests using coconut shells. Ellen worries that the coconut shell will break when boiled. Qin Tian suggests using heated stones in it. He plans to leave the trap first before setting out to the seashore. They leave the trap with banana worms in a shady area. Ellen suddenly smells something and walks away while Qin Tian finds the smell familiar. Ellen finds something and they are bushes of mint. Qin Tian decides to get some to repel the mosquitoes in their camp. Ellen gets surprised by the new knowledge and starts collecting a bunch of them. After getting a lot of mints, they return to their camp and plan the mints around the camp. The two sat down, and Qin Tian told Ellen to take her time to rest. Qin Tian creates a stone hammer and gets system points. He realizes he can get more points by making survival tools. Ellen wonders why he is happy. Later, they discover the coconuts they left on the seashore have been opened. He notices how the coconuts are broken by a strong force not belonging to a human being. Ellen gets scared thinking it might be tigers, but Qin Tian confirms that they don't eat coconut. He sees a trail and thinks of other coconut-eating creatures present. Ellen remembers the coconut crabs. He points out the small trail that a crab can leave. They follow the trail and discover the coconut crab climbing another coconut tree. Ellen drools at the massive claws of the crab. They prepare to catch it, and Ellen notices that it has already come down. Ellen hurries, but Qin Tian tells her not to worry because it has nowhere to go. Ellen gets scared seeing Qin Tian's expression. Ellen can't believe a coconut crab can crack open the coconut like a banana. Qin Tian menacingly approaches it and grabs the opened coconut. The crab angrily opens another coconut, and Qin Tian grabs the coconut again. The crab gets mad, and Ellen realizes Qin Tian's real motive. Qin Tian then easily ties down the coconut crab. They later walk back, but Ellen requests a break. She mentions that it is already the third day and there are still no rescue teams. Qin Tian gets worried. However, Ellen reassures herself that it might take them a week instead. She walks again, and Qin Tian also worries. They return to the stream and discover that their fish trap worked. He tells Ellen to return to the camp while he prepares the fish. He plans to place the trap again, and the system rewards him with points for catching fish. He already had enough points to buy something from the shop. He returns to the camp and discovers Ellen building a stove with rocks to cook the coconut crab. They cook the crab and eat it satisfyingly. Qin Tian goes to sleep first, and he will change to night watch with Ellen at midnight. Ellen nervously does her night watch, and suddenly a hand taps her. Surprised, she tries to hit Qin Tian with the hammer. She claims that she hasn't called him yet. However, Qin Tian tells her to get some sleep already. Ellen goes to sleep, and Qin Tian wants to use this chance to check the shop. But first, Qin Tian tries to boil water using a heated stone. However, the ashes make the water unclear. Still, boiling it will remove the bacteria, and the mint is also helpful to keep him awake. Just then, Ellen screams in her dream. She dreams of the rescue team rescuing them. It looks like she is really not a positive person at all. Qin Tian thinks Ellen hypnotized herself to get over the tragic accident. If no one comes within a few days, then she will despair. Qin Tian then checks the shop and discovers books that he can buy with his current points. He chooses the book about manufacturing tools, and the knowledge is immediately delivered to his head. Qin Tian quickly learns things, and he can use them to live on the island longer. He then notices the lucky wheel and gets a free spin for his first purchase. The wheel doesn't have a free space, and a prize is guaranteed. He spins the wheel and wins a prize that is worth 10,000 points in the shop. He gets to choose to use it now and is scared that he is lucky today despite being an unlucky person. He chooses to use the prize later. Morning comes and Ellen wakes up. She looks for Qin Tian and the latter arrives with freshly caught fish. Ellen tells him to tell her the next time he leaves. While the fish are being cooked, Ellen shyly tells Qin Tian not to go to the stream. Qin Tian then advises her not to pollute the water. Ellen shouts that she will only take a shower. Qin Tian realizes that they haven't taken a bath since being stranded on the island and he can smell himself. He then shouts at Ellen that he will go look for other resources. Qin Tian looks around and finds wild oyster mushrooms. He is glad that he has the system to identify resources around him. However, some resources don't appear in the book he bought from the store, so he is not sure if they are edible. Qin Tian finds a rabbit. He uses his hammer as a distraction and tries to catch it. However, the rabbit is so fast. He remembers Ellen and goes back to the campsite. Just then he hears Ellen scream. He quickly runs over and Ellen claims that there is a snake. Qin Tian runs and grabs the creature, which turns out to be an eel. Ellen then tells him to get out. Qin Tian is more focused on getting a new type of food to eat. Ellen finishes her bath and sees Qin Tian waiting for her. She tells him to stop staring, and Qin Tian, blushing, claims that she looks beautiful. Ellen gets embarrassed and returns first to their camp. She gets mad at herself for getting shy over Qin Tian's words. Qin Tian also didn't expect to utter such words. Qin Tian then removes his clothes and plans to check for more eels. He finds holes in the wet mud and covers one of them. He can't use his bare hands because some crabs or poisonous snakes might also live in the holes. He remembers grabbing a water snake instead of an eel when he was young. Eels are attracted to water grass, so Qin Tian uses a water grass stalk to lure out the eel. He feels a bite and pulls out the eel. He later returns to the camp with more eels. Ellen worries that they can't do everything at once. Qin Tian suggests smoking the meat to preserve it. He smokes the eel so the meat can last for weeks or months. Ellen asks if she can help with anything because Qin Tian is the one who does almost everything. Qin Tian will teach Ellen how to make ropes out of tree bark so they can finish the windshield. He leaves Ellen to check the trap in the stream. The trap can only catch 2 or 3 fish each time. He makes a small lake beside the stream to store the fish he catches so they won't worry about food. Night comes and the two cook the eel meat with berries. Ellen takes a bite and drowns in the appetizing taste. Qin Tian finds her weird now. 2 days later, Qin Tian returns to where he got the mushrooms. They already ran out of eels and he needs to catch some wild rabbits today. In a flashback, Chin Tian breaks the old windshield to create a bigger one. With Ellen's help, they made a better version that feels safer to live in. Chin Tian tries to recall the path where the wild rabbit ran. He tries to find a place with less grass and finds trees with burrows. He covers the holes he found and leaves 2 open. He places burning horseshoe fungi near the holes to smoke the rabbits out. Just then, a rabbit comes out and Chin Tian easily catches it. However, it is an offspring. Another rabbit runs out and Chin Tian recalls that rabbits live in herds. He checks the hole and discovers more small rabbits. He catches everything and brings them back to their camp. Ellen gets excited over the rabbits. Chin Tian is impressed that Ellen made a lot of ropes. He then claims to butcher them, but Ellen disagrees because they are too cute to eat. However, Ellen claims it is better to fatten them up first before they get eaten. Chin Tian didn't expect that side of Ellen. She knows that they don't have a choice but to kill them for survival. Chin Tian later butchers the biggest one and sets aside the fur for future use. The two eat dinner and find the rabbit meat stinky. Chin Tian asks Ellen why she is cheerful, and Ellen claims that the next day is the 7th day. She still thinks that a rescue team will come, and Chin Tian tries to act happy too. They are done eating, and Ellen wonders what Chin Tian is doing. Chin Tian plans to start a fire using a different method. Based on the camping book he got from the store, there are various ways of starting a fire. He tries using a wooden bow, and he is successful in starting a fire. The next morning they leave the camp and arrive at the shore. Chin Tian knows they will be waiting until night, so he starts preparing. Dusk comes, and Ellen asks Chin Tian why the rescue team is not yet here. She starts despairing and Chin Tian gets worried. Ellen grabs his hand and cries out that they will die on the island by themselves. She continues to cry as she despairs. Chin Tian slaps her and Ellen asks why he did that. Chin Tian tells her to cry everything out. Ellen hugs her while crying out loud. Chin Tian tells her not to worry because he is with her. The night passes by. The next morning, Ellen slaps Chin Tian as revenge for the previous night. She also thanked Chin Tian, but Chin Tian didn't hear her. She then tries to change the topic and asks him to check the low tide. Chin Tian corrects her, saying that it is not yet time. They have a meal first while waiting. Ellen read in a book that a person missing for 2 years is considered legally dead. Chin Tian mentions that a rescue team will give up after a month of no results. Ellen gets mad at him for being negative. Chin Tian then suggests creating a boat and escaping the island themselves. Ellen thinks Chin Tian is cool right now. Chin Tian then tells her to get some seafood now that it is low tide. They later return to the camp and Chin Tian is glad that the rabbits didn't run away. They cooked the seafood they collected. Chin Tian tells Ellen to eat first, but she must not throw away the shells because they will be useful later. The seafood is only temporary and Chin Tian must find another source of food. Ellen can notice Chin Tian's darkened eye bags. Chin Tian later takes a nap and asks Ellen to wake him up at midnight to switch to night watching. Ellen thinks it is her fault that Chin Tian didn't get enough sleep last night. The morning comes and Chin Tian is surprised. He gets mad at Ellen for not waking her up, but Ellen just wants him to fully recover from his sleep. Chin Tian then tells the sleep-deprived Ellen to rest for the day. Chin Tian sets out to find more resources. Chin Tian has been searching for 2 hours, but he finds nothing. He then decides to go to the shore instead to get seafood again. Just then, he notices something. He runs and comes across a bamboo forest. Bamboo is a multifunctional plant. Chin Tian has a hard time cutting down a bamboo tree. He brings one down and remembers that there might be bamboo shoots nearby. He cuts the bamboo into pieces and loads them up. He returns to the camp and Ellen tells him to eat what she cooked. Chin Tian stares at a burnt fish and Ellen asks how it is. It doesn't taste good, but Chin Tian says otherwise. Ellen tries it and she complains about how hard and bitter it is. Ellen apologizes for wasting food and Chin Tian claims that it is still edible. Chin Tian tells her to eat the oysters instead, but Ellen keeps eating the burnt fish. The night deepens and Ellen asks what Chin Tian is doing with the bamboo. He plans to make a fish trap to replace the plastic bottle. Ellen then helps cut some bamboo to create water bottles. Chin Tian is glad that Ellen is willing to work and finish it on her own. Based on the survival book, Chin Tian creates a fish trap, and he gets points for it. Ellen shows what she made and Chin Tian compliments her work. She asks if Chin Tian has anything to do tomorrow, and she plans to go with him to help. Chin Tian is impressed with how Ellen changed and plans to make good use of her. The next day, the two go to the bamboo forest. Ellen finds the place next to the bamboo forest more suitable for a camp. However, Chin Tian points out that food is their priority right now. Ellen is tasked with looking for bamboo shoots and she finds a bunch of them. After she collected bundles of them, she discovered a herd of wild boars. She stays silent and runs over to Chin Tian. Chin Tian gets surprised, and Ellen points in the direction of the boars. Chin Tian grabs Ellen's hands and tells her to run and leave the place quickly. Though they are carnivores, wild boars can attack ferociously. However, more wild boars appear on the side where they came out. Qin signals Ellen to be quiet, but the wild boars smell them. The two then quickly ran away. However, the boars are fast. Ellen is tired, but she can't hold back Qin. Ellen tells Qin to go and leave her. Qin gets mad at the movie cliché. He then faces the herd of boars and shouts out loud. The boars freeze in place, and Qin continues making loud noises. It works well, and he throws his stone axe at the herd of boars. The herd runs away, and Qin falls to the ground in relief. Ellen gets worried, and Qin tells her that he is fine, and they need to move now. Qin notices a boar left alone and notices that it is wounded. A boar left alone will feel terrified and become more aggressive. Qin throws his axe at the boar and baits it. He tells Ellen to go back to their camp. Qin then activates his skill and he gets faster like a leopard. He gets far away, but the skill drains too much of his energy. He falls to the ground, thinking that he escaped from the boar already. Just then, birds create a ruckus nearby. Qin wonders if it is the boar, and yes, it is. Qin gets surprised and climbs a nearby tree. As he feels lucky that the boar can't climb, the board starts striking the tree. Qin grabs properly at the tree until the board gets tired and stops. As it walks away, Qin remembers how precious pork is. He jumps off the tree and confronts the boar. The boar charges at him, which Qin quickly dodges. The boar hits the tree, making it unconscious. Qin finishes it off, but the boar had too much vitality. Qin continues attacking it until it falls dead. He receives points for hunting the wild boar. The wild boar is too heavy, so he plans to get it back the next day after resting and recovering. He hopes that no other predators will find the boar. Meanwhile, Ellen is in a hurry to make a stone axe to help Qin. She rips her dress and collects ashes. Qin asks what she is doing, and Ellen claims that ashes can blind the boars so they can escape. Ellen then realizes that she has been talking to Qin and he appears with a fish in hand. Ellen looks glad and hugs Qin. She was afraid that she wouldn't see him again. She notices that he is wet and he claims it is a long story. It got awkward when Qin started stripping. Ellen tells him that they are not kids anymore and reminds him to dry his clothes first. Just then, Qin flashes himself to Ellen. Ellen quickly covers her eyes and Qin claims he was wearing underpants. That night, Ellen feels bad about leaving the bamboo shoots behind. Qin tells her that he killed the boar. Ellen worries about encountering the boars again, and Qin can only think of making a bow and arrow to fight back. The next morning, Qin quickly returns to the boar he killed and discovers that other animals found it. Luckily, there are more parts left. He notices a scratch mark from another animal. He starts butchering the boar and brings it back to the camp with bamboo. Meanwhile, Ellen is making a needle from a rabbit's bone and Qin surprises her. Ellen gets mad and notices the meat Qin brought back. Ellen wonders how he will use the fat, and Qin claims that it can be used to make a fat-based oil. However, they don't have a container. Qin then asks Ellen for help making one. He plans to do pottery and he feels lucky that the clay nearby is usable. He remembers the steps from the survival book. He tries to make one, but it looks like something unusable. He throws it away. He then makes a small bowl and discovers Ellen made better-looking ones. He then asks her to make one big enough for cooking. Qin makes a kiln for drying the clay until it gets dark. During dinner, Qin feels glad that they won't have food problems for the next month. Ellen notices Qin smiling and claims that he is just happy to be alive. Qin compliments Ellen's ability to mend. Ellen claims she must learn how because they don't have any clothes to change into. Qin then tells her not to worry because they can change their clothes soon. The next day, Ellen wonders if they can actually brush their teeth with the wood ash. Qin mentions some science shit stating that it's a good substitute for real toothpaste. Later they begin preparing the pottery bowls, and Qin mentions that it will take 5 hours to harden. This surprises Ellen, and Qin tells her that they must control the heat properly, otherwise the pottery will develop cracks. After the first batch of bowls is completed, the success rate is disappointingly low, prompting Qin to think of new techniques they could try instead. Later that night, during Ellen's shift, the success rate gradually improves, indicating that they could make more if they could control the heat. The next day, as rain is approaching, Qin cooks the pork fat while Ellen wonders why he is adding water to it. Qin explains that water helps reduce the risk of the fat getting overburned. They also prepare by grinding clamshells into powder to make soap. Qin emphasizes the importance of making soap since there are no drugs on the island, and if they get sick it could be life-threatening. Using soap reduces that risk. As they let the soap formulate throughout the day, they prepare for the impending downpour. Luckily, the duo has finished building the tents, otherwise they wouldn't have anywhere to stay. Qin opens the system, and with the pottery and soap he made, he now has over 6,000 points. However, he still needs another 500 points to buy the power of any creatures. Ellen appears and questions Qin about what he's thinking. But he reflects on the situation and asks her what took her so long. He also asks if the soap works. Ellen calmly mentions that it does the job and expresses their luck in having the soap. Qin Tian prepares to make the bamboo bow and attempts to create a multi-layered structured bow to improve efficiency. He places some stumps in the ground as a makeshift mold since he has no other options. Suddenly, the sky begins to thunder and the duo quickly rushes into the tent together and goes to sleep. During the night, Qin Tian wakes up upon hearing a sound and quickly wakes up Ellen. He tells her that they have to disband the tent and urges her to climb up the tree. Ellen wonders what's going on when suddenly a group of wild boars run through their campsite. Ellen wonders if a few of the boars are dead, as it appears they are wounded, but it turns out they are just taking a nap. The rain continues to pour, and the boars are not leaving yet. Qin Tian uses his shoe to distract the boars and they run away. Qin Tian tells Ellen to get down and the girl slips down. She falls on Qin Tian. Look at Qin Tian blushing. Morning comes and Qin Tian is surprised to get 3,000 points for surviving the rainy night. The two start fixing their camp. Ellen is glad that the rabbits are still caged. Qin Tian hopes the wood sticks they have will dry sooner. Later, Qin Tian asks Ellen to remove her underwear. He plans to wash clothes and bathe at the same time, but Ellen refuses. Qin Tian notices the stream's water is higher than before. Luckily, the first trap is still usable. As the clothes must first dry, Qin Tian wears leaves in the meantime. That night, Ellen worries that the boars will return, and Qin Tian offers to do night watch first. Seeing Ellen feel unsafe, Qin Tian wants to make more weapons to fight the boars. He creates the bow and uses a boar's muscle as a string. Qin Tian proceeds to make arrows. He burns the tips of wood sticks and sharpens them. He can also use sharp stones as arrowheads. He gets points as he finishes the bow and arrows. Qin Tian now has enough points for a new skill. Between speed and strength, he chooses the former, and he now feels stronger than before. The next day, Qin Tian suggests working on the ceramics after the boars destroyed them. Qin Tian and Ellen remake the ceramics, and their skills have improved. Qin Tian practices using the bow, but his aiming skills stink. He keeps training until his skills improve. Following that, Qin Tian goes deep into the woods. He notices some tadpoles and he finds the ecosystem interesting. He later picks up some bamboo shoots. He hears bird sounds and discovers wild chickens. He shoots an arrow, but he misses. He notices that the chickens are not afraid of him and don't move. He swears not to miss a shot, but he didn't hit them even once. He tries one more time and finally hits one. He hits two more, but he has already used all of his arrows. The other chickens ran away after that. That night, the two had chicken soup. Ellen is overjoyed with the new menu. Qin Tian also finds it tasty with bamboo shoots, however he claims that it will be better with salt. Ellen gets excited and suddenly remembers that they are in the middle of nowhere. Qin Tian then tells her that they will go to the beach the next day to make some. They went to the beach and prepared to boil seawater. While the water is boiling, the two make a sundial so they can keep track of their time. They successfully created one, and Qin Tian asked Ellen to watch the shadow while he checked the seawater. Seeing the salt still wet, Qin Tian dries it out under the blazing sun. They made enough for half a month, but it is full of impurities. Qin Tian prepares another pot of seawater to boil, and Ellen calls for his attention. Qin Tian asks for another bamboo. He knows that crude salt is not meant for consumption. He plans to saturate and purify the salt. Using his survival knowledge, Qin Tian made a filtration device. However, it took a long time. Ellen feels overjoyed with the dinner again. Qin Tian comments on how Chinese cuisine should have seasonings. He laughs at Ellen for overreacting. They also realize that it had been 20 days since they came to the island. Ellen wonders what kind of boat Qin Tian is planning to make. He needs a fishing boat that will help sustain them during the trip. Ellen suggests making a better tent first, and Qin Tian claims it is better to find another place to camp. 4 days later, Qin Tian finds a meadow with a nearby cave. He stays alert, thinking that something is living inside. He fires an arrow, but nothing reacts. He goes inside and discovers animal remains. Just then, Qin Tian senses an attack and dodges it using his cheetah speed. A panda attacked him, and Qin Tian wondered why it looked a bit strange. He tries to distract it with a bamboo branch, but the panda just crushes it. Qin Tian wonders what is happening and why it looks different compared to a normal panda. Qin Tian runs away and climbs a tree. As a Chinese, he hesitates to attack it, but he needs to take over the cave. The fired arrow just bounces off its fur, and the panda discovers Qin Tian. He quickly keeps his distance and uses a rock arrow this time. It works, but the panda is still fine despite the bleeding. It confronts a surprised Qin Tian. Qin Tian dodges its attack and runs away again. That night, Ellen suggests ignoring the panda and the cave and looking for another area to move to. Qin Tian plans to use his arrow belt's tie to make an arrowhead. They need a furnace to melt the iron, so they start to plan to make one. They created a wind fan and the two started blowing air into the furnace to melt the iron. They manage to melt the iron and Ellen falls out of fatigue. Qin Tian pours the melted iron into Ellen's molds and he immediately cools them down. That night, Qin Tian sharpens the arrowheads and hopes that they work. He puts it on the arrow and he is now confident in beating the panda. He tries to buy the animal encyclopedia, but the system offers a better option for a bargain. He buys books about animals and how to tame them. The books also give tips on how to fight different animals. However, Qin Tian finds them ridiculous. Ellen wakes up to see Qin Tian making breakfast. Ellen insists on seeing the panda, but Qin Tian refuses. Qin Tian can see that Ellen is getting used to living on the island. Later, Qin Tian goes back to the cave and fires arrows inside. He notices that the panda is not there. He climbs a tree to wait for it and it appears after some time. The system shows that it is an ancient panda. It further explains that pandas started as carnivores, which humans domesticated until they turned into bamboo-loving pandas. In 2 months, Qin Tian can tame it. He plans to hurt it to the point that it can't find food by itself. Qin Tian injures it, retrieves the arrow, and runs away. He kept repeating the process for many days. On the 4th day, Qin Tian can't find the panda. It ambushed him and Qin Tian noticed that the panda was learning. It breaks an arrow and Qin Tian runs away. On the way back to the camp, Qin Tian discovers poison dart frogs. He now had a solution to his problem. He captures one and plans to use its toxin for his arrows. He goes back to the camp and Ellen rushes to hug him. Qin Tian apologizes for making her worry, but Ellen denies being worried. Ellen notices the poison frog and Qin Tian plans to use it against the panda. The next morning, Qin Tian heats the frog until bubbles form on its skin. Qin Tian applies the toxins to the arrowheads. Ellen gives him the grass balls he asked for and she wonders what their uses are. Qin Tian claims they got their use. Qin Tian later returns to the cave. Seeing the footprints, he knows that the panda is inside. He burns the grass balls and throws them in the cave. The panda gets smoked out and roars. It chases Qin Tian and the latter plans to tire the panda out. Inside the forest, the panda looks for Qin Tian. Qin Tian finds a chance and fires an arrow with the toxins. However, the stone arrowheads are ineffective. Qin Tian dodges the panda's attack. Qin Tian fires an iron arrow this time. The toxin should take effect soon. Qin Tian shoots again and the panda attacks him. However, the panda falls. Qin Tian is glad that the toxins have already kicked in. He observes the panda for 3 hours and the panda wakes up. The next morning, Qin Tian prepares fish and bamboo. He goes to the cave and sees the exhausted panda. He inserts a bamboo shoot into a fish and throws it at the panda. The panda growls and notices the fish. It hastily eats and Qin Tian shows it more food. It eats the remaining fish with bamboo shoots. Qin Tian wonders what name fits the panda. He notices how idiotic it is to relax knowing that it is poisoned. He then decides to call the panda Shanbi, which means dumbass. Night comes and Qin Tian and Ellen eat dinner. Ellen finds out the name of the panda, and she gets worried about whether to compliment his naming sense or not. Ellen puts down her food and claims that she is not in the mood. Qin Tian guessed that it was that time of the month. Ellen tells him to be quiet. She claims it should have started days ago, but it is kind of late for her. It must be because of stress and a lack of rest. Qin Tian then thinks about making paper. However, making a good quality product needs a lot of processes. The next morning, Ellen wakes up due to the smell of urine. Qin Tian claims it is needed to make paper and Ellen calls him crazy. Qin Tian asks Ellen to make square-shaped meshes and they easily create some. Things suddenly go to chemistry class and Ellen is impressed that Qin Tian is doing it on an isolated island. The two continue with more steps and processes to make sodium hydroxide. Ellen comments that it is better to work on it with electricity. Qin Tian claims it is possible with lightning strikes. The two later collected wild grasses to make paper. The grasses are soaked in sodium hydroxide for hours to obtain pure white cellulose. Qin Tian washes it next to the stream and washes it with clear water to get the paper powder. The powder is then put into the mesh frames. They dry the mesh with paper powder and they successfully create paper. Qin Tian is glad that his bottom is not at ease with paper. Ellen says not to mention it during meals. She finds Qin Tian talented at making paper. Days later, Qin Tian sees Shanbi looking comfortable. It wakes up after smelling the food that Qin Tian brought. It looks tame now and Qin Tian is feeding Shanbi. Domesticating Shanbi won't take long anymore. Qin Tian leaves Shanbi and walks along the stream. He finds wild gingers and brings them back to the camp. Ellen is experiencing cramps and claims that it didn't hurt like that before. She also had heating pads and a cup of yolk with red sugar to calm her cramps. Qin Tian then shows the ginger tea he just made. He claims he just accidentally discovered them, but Ellen can see proof that Qin Tian made an effort to do so. Ellen drinks warm ginger tea. The next day, Qin Tian visits Shanbi again. Shanbi now considers Qin Tian as a friend. A month later, she starts feeding Shanbi with pure bamboo shoots. Seeing Qin Tian's menacing aura, it accepts and eats the bamboo shoots. However, Shanbi is liking it. The system gives Qin Tian points for domesticating a panda. He gets an animal training seal that he can use on Shanbi. He applies the seal to Shanbi, and Qintian can now see Shanbi's status using the system. That night, Qintian tells Ellen that she can meet Shanbi now. He brings her to Shanbi the next day, and the two easily become friends. Shanbi also changed its diet to regular bamboo. Two later decide to leave the camp with Shanbi. They made a new camp in the field with the cave where Shanbi lives. Ellen enjoys looking at the starry night sky. Qintian tells her to continue watching while he sleeps, but Ellen suggests sleeping together because there's no need for night watch with Shanbi with them. Qintian gets surprised and asks Ellen to be his girlfriend. Ellen gets flustered as Qintian approaches her. Qintian teases her, and Ellen gets mad. The two do some cleanup before sleeping. The next day comes, and the two dig for nearby clay to make more ceramic. Qintian leaves with Shanbi to retrieve the fish traps in the stream. On the third day, they collect bamboo easily with Shanbi's help. However, the pet is distracted by eating. The fourth day comes and the two start to build a bamboo house kitchen. After a week, they have now finished the kitchen. All the effort is worth it because Qintian got so many points and bought a new book about plants. They go to the stream to take a break. Qintian is happy to see Ellen having fun now after some time. Ellen steps on something. She checks her foot and discovers a rock crystal. Qintian checks on it and claims that it is quartz, an ingredient in making glass. On closer inspection, it is of high purity. The two go upstream to look for more resources. They later discover a tree of honey locusts, and Qintian claims that the pulp is an ingredient in making shampoo. Ellen hopes they can make one. However, the tree is full of thorns, and Ellen doesn't want to put Qintian in danger. Qintian activates his power and jumps onto the tree. Ellen tells him not to put himself in danger for her. However, Qintian claims he is only procuring food, making Ellen embarrassed for overthinking. Qintian cuts some pulp and notices something from afar. He immediately goes down and asks Ellen if they can make shampoo now. Ellen gets embarrassed and tries to act like she is not interested. Qintian then decides not to make shampoo, making Ellen flinch in shock. Ellen tells him to be decisive, but Qintian wants to think about it later after going to the sugarcane field. Ellen is surprised to see a field of sugarcane. However, Qintian notices that it looks like someone has grown the field. Ellen gets fascinated, and Qintian stops her from touching them. However, Ellen gets hurt by the sharp leaves of the sugarcane. Qintian cuts down one cane and the three of them savor the sweet taste of it, despite it being hard. Ellen notices a sour taste, and Qintian explains that it is not the right season for its harvest. Qintian plans to take some cane home so he can make brown sugar. They go back home and start to process the honey locust's pulp. Qintian uses the extracts to make porridge, which Ellen enjoys eating. Qintian later finished squeezing the sugarcane stalks. Ellen surprises him with a basket full of mushrooms. Qintian pats her head. However, most of the harvest is poisonous. Ellen is discouraged that only a few are edible. Qintian tells Ellen to collect the resources listed on the blackboard to create shampoo and toothpaste. Qintian later proceeded to process the collected resources, and in the end, he successfully created shampoo. Ellen is sad that she can only try it tomorrow because it is already dark outside. In the middle of the night, Qintian wakes up hearing weird giggles, thinking it was a ghost, but it was Ellen who was sleep-talking about the shampoo. As thunder rumbles in the distance, Ellen wakes up and realizes that it's also raining heavily. Shanbi, the panda, starts growling, and Qintian uses his skill on the panda. He wonders if it's wild pigs again and instructs Ellen to stay inside while he goes to investigate. His prediction proves correct, as it turns out to be wild pigs. Shanbi lunges at them, attacking one of the pigs before getting attacked in return. While Shanbi distracts all the pigs, Qintian remains unnoticed. Shanbi rages on as he bites one of the pigs, just as another pig is about to attack him from behind. Qintian protects Shanbi and defends him by using his poison arrows to attack the rest of the pigs. However, a few of the pigs notice Qintian's presence. As he is spotted by the pigs, Qintian quickly devises a plan to lead them away from Shanbi. He utilizes his skill, dashing away from the pigs and finding refuge in a tree. While hiding, he wonders how Shanbi is holding up. Shanbi roars fiercely, causing the pigs to scatter in fear. Qintian reunites with Shanbi, giving him some reassuring head pats. Together, they make their way back to the camp. Upon their return, Ellen expresses concern over the scratches on Shanbi's body. However, Qintian reassures her that Shanbi has endured worse. They store the wild pigs in their shed for future food. Qintian mentions that he will find some bamboo for Shanbi as a reward for his bravery. Continuing through the forest, Qintian collects sprouts along the way. As he ventures deeper into the woods, he suddenly panics upon noticing tracks on the ground. He is certain that it couldn't be from a steamroller and decides it's best to retreat for safety. However, his panic intensifies when he hears a noise and catches sight of a titanoboa, the largest snake ever known to exist and believed to be extinct. As Qintian flees, he is shocked by the sight of the titanoboa and wonders if he will encounter a dinosaur tomorrow. Seeking guidance, he turns to the system for information. Surprisingly, the system advises him to jump directly into the Titanoboa's mouth, make his way down its throat and use a small knife to kill it from the inside. Qin Tian is taken aback by the absurdity of the suggestion and continues running away, dismissing the idea entirely. In his desperate escape, he spots a slope and slides down, successfully evading the Titanoboa's line of sight. However, panic sets in as Qin Tian contemplates his next course of action. Suddenly, the Titanoboa catches his scent and closes in on him. Qin Tian instinctively uses his dagger to stab the snake, but he realizes that the dagger is too short to reach the heart. In a thrilling turn of events, he finds himself being taken for a ride by the Titanoboa. Desperate to survive, he considers staying silent in hopes of escaping. Then a foul odor reaches his nostrils and he realizes he has stumbled into the boar territory. The snake notices a boar nearby. As the Titanoboa engulfs the boar, Qin Tian seizes the opportunity to escape, lunging away from the chaotic scene. However, the encounter ends sooner than he anticipated. He stumbles and continues running, desperately hoping to find something useful in the system to aid his survival. Qin Tian realizes that the available rewards have changed, and he regrets missing out on an option. Nonetheless, he decides to give the horse superpowers option a try. Unfortunately, the system malfunctions, granting him an animal charm feature instead. Panic sets in as he turns around and spots a group of boars, hoping they won't notice him. Qin Tian's anxiety intensifies as the boars draw nearer, and eventually, he is spotted. In a moment of desperation, he activates the superpowers bestowed upon him by the system, experiencing a sensational burn in his legs as he utilizes them to run. Worried that his legs might give out soon, he notices a pile of feces and decides to dive into it, hoping to lose his scent and evade the boars. As the day progresses, the boars begin to rest in front of Qin Tian. He ponders why the pile of feces is warm and realizes that the released carbohydrates are preventing the heat from escaping. Slowly, he loses sensation in his arms and legs, but he fights to keep his mind alert. Fainting in this situation would spell the end for him. Since they are in the territory of the boars, Qin Tian doesn't have to worry about other animals. However, he remains concerned about the potential reappearance of the snake. Suddenly, he spots a flame and hears someone calling his name. At first, he wonders if he's hallucinating and hearing Ellen's voice, but to his shock, he discovers that it's actually her, accompanied by Shanbi the panda. Ellen notices the herd of boars and questions why Qin Tian is among them before scaring the boars away. Ellen inquires about Qin Tian's well-being and he assures her that he is fine but very dirty at the moment. He advises her not to approach him. However, Qin Tian's legs give way, but Ellen catches him just in time. Blushing, she insists that they must move quickly. They both climb onto the panda and Ellen tells Qin Tian to hold on to her, causing them both to blush. They return to camp and Qin Tian washes himself while Ellen does the same, playfully instructing him not to peek as she stands behind the panda. After drying off, Ellen goes to bed while Qin Tian checks their food storage and notices signs of an attack. He wonders if there is a wild animal nearby, but it turns out that Ellen used pig fat to make a torch. Qin Tian attempts to crouch down but feels pain in his bruised knees from using the cheetah superpower to escape the boars and Titanoboa earlier. The system rewards him with 7,000 points for successfully evading the Titanoboa. Qin Tian offers Ellen some porridge, but she is still asleep. He is shocked that Ellen saved him and never expected her to do so. As they both rest and wake up later to eat, Qin Tian informs her that the tracks she saw belonged to a Titanoboa, which frightens her. She wonders if they need to relocate from their hideout. Qin Tian assures her that if they stick to the forest edge while walking, they will be safe. He also expresses his gratitude for her saving him, which brings a smile to Ellen's face. Later in the day, Qin Tian begins slicing the meat in preparation. They set it up on the smoking rack as Ellen asks if it's safe to leave the meat outside. Qin Tian explains that they have no other space available. The following day, Ellen screams Qin Tian's name, informing him that their bacon has disappeared. Shocked, Qin Tian wonders what could have stolen the meat, especially since Shanbi didn't react to it. He prepares to guard the meat that night and catch the culprit. As he rests during the day to prepare for the night shift, Ellen offers him some mint tea, urging him to quickly figure out the situation before they face serious trouble. As dawn approaches, the thief has yet to make an appearance. Suddenly, Qin Tian spots a golden eagle swooping down towards the meat. He attempts to protect the meat but is unsuccessful. Later in the day, Qin Tian informs Ellen that the thief is a golden eagle. He shares his plan to trap and tame the eagle, explaining that they need to keep things normal and hang the meat outside so the eagle won't suspect anything. Qin Tian prepares a basic trap, but when they test it, it doesn't seem to work. Determined, Qin Tian exerts more force on the trap, causing the bamboo shoot to smack him in the face. He then instructs Shanbi to test the trap, as the panda's thick skin will protect him. As Shanbi pushes on the trap, it breaks, making Qin Tian realize that he needs to make a few more adjustments before it's ready. Later in the day, as Ellen wakes up from her nap, she questions whether Qintian is certain the eagle will return. Suddenly, the eagle appears above them. As the eagle swoops down toward the trap, the rope manages to catch onto its leg. Ellen wonders why Qintian isn't approaching the trapped eagle, and he explains that it's not the right time yet. The golden eagle has a deadly beak, and if they get too close, it will attack them. So they decide to wait until the eagle becomes exhausted. They discuss what to name it, and Qintian suggests the name Desert Eagle. The eagle looks like it doesn't like the name Sand Eagle. However, Qintian thinks otherwise. Ellen wonders how they can domesticate the eagle. Qintian then asks if Ellen knows what a night owl is. Ellen exclaims that staying up all night is unhealthy. Qintian suggests taking turns watching the eagle and making it awake all the time until it gets tamed within the week. He tells Ellen to keep watch during the day while he does the night shift. The afternoon of day 1 comes, and the eagle tries to escape. However, Ellen is keeping watch, so it won't have a chance to escape. Day 2's night comes, and Qintian finishes creating a toothbrush during his night shift. He tries to ask the eagle's opinion, but it ignores him. Day 3 comes, and the eagle is tired. Shanbi also helps keep it awake while Ellen is making a shirt for Qintian. Day 4 night comes, and Qintian is cooking glue. He smacks Shanbi for neglecting his task. Shanbi gets mad at the eagle instead. Day 5's morning comes, and look at this dead, tired eagle. It gawks out loud out of frustration. Qintian tells it to surrender already. The eagle then willingly surrenders to Qintian. Using the pet seal, Qintian tames the eagle and successfully domesticates it. He then sees its memories and discovers that there is a chick back in its nest. The eagle recovers its health, and Ellen is surprised to see it domesticated already. Qintian claims that the eagle has a child. Ellen wonders how he knew, but Qintian claims it was just a hunch. It is also the eagle's mating season in the spring. Ellen then suggests raising the young eagles. Qintian agrees and tells her that he will set out the next day. The eagle lands on Qintian's arm protector, and Ellen is fascinated by how cool the sight is. However, the eagle doesn't like Ellen yet. She cries and wonders why it behaved differently toward her when the two of them domesticated it. She walks out, telling them to watch her. Just then, the eagle notices something. It walks like a chicken after seeing the fish on Ellen's hands. Qintian and Ellen took the day off to refresh their energy. They then set out to look for the young eagle in the mountains. After some walking, they set up camp because it was getting dark outside. During dinner, Ellen wonders if they can find the young eagle. The forest is too wide, and it might take them some time. Seeing that the forest is wide, Qintian wonders if it stretches more and if the island is really an undiscovered island. Ellen wonders what he was thinking, and Qintian makes up a story of wild animals attacking them during the night. The group later sleeps, and in the middle of the night, Qintian senses something. Ellen also wakes up and notices Shanbi on guard. From the nearby bushes, wolves come out to attack them. Qintian tells Ellen not to panic because Shanbi is with them. Shanbi roars at them, but Qintian reminds him not to be aggressive. Qintian assesses the situation and says that if Shanbi loses, he and Ellen will be attacked for sure. Just when Qintian thought that they were really unfortunate, the wolves got scared of the nearby flame. Qintian totally forgot about wild animals being scared of fire and asked Ellen to light up a torch. He tells her to move forward. Qintian throws his torch and scares off the wolves a bit. He orders Shanbi to attack. Shanbi then scares off the wolves. Knowing the wolves' deviousness, Qintian claims that the wolves might still be nearby. The morning comes, and the group hurriedly gets out of the forest. They can see the eagle acting up. It seems like they are nearing their destination. The group climbs up the mountains, and Ellen feels like giving up. Qintian lets Ellen rest while he looks for the young eagle. He climbed the mountain and almost fell. He reaches the top and gasps for air. He enjoys the scene as if he is on top of a skyscraper. He then notices a volcano where plants are growing along the foothills. He plans to look for resources in that area later. The eagle then gets his attention after Qintian forgets their initial purpose. Qintian then drops a rope on a steep hill to let the baby eagle perch on it. Using the pet seal, Qintian communicates with the eagle, and it relays the instructions to the baby eagle. Qintian was able to pull up the baby eagle. The two birds reunite. Qintian immediately grabs the bird and brings it down with him until they reach the bottom. He sighs as Qintian swears not to do some climbing again. He then looks for Ellen. Qintian discovers writings on the ground that Ellen left to look for resources. The weather gets bad and Ellen arrives while riding Shanbi. Qintian suggests moving fast because the weather might cause landslides. Just then, Ellen notices something. An airplane passes by. Qintian thinks something happened. Ellen panics because she heard an explosion, but Qintian tells her to calm down. Qintian wonders how an airplane comes to a deserted island. They come out of the forest and arrive at a dead end. Qintian suggests stopping first and planning what to do next. Qintian mentions how they don't have enough food if they go to the plane's crash site and get back to their campsite. Ellen then suggests replenishing in the camp first and returning. However, Qin Tian disagrees and claims one person will do. Ellen realizes that she can return to the camp alone, while Qin Tian will have enough food if he goes alone. Qin Tian worries, but Ellen is confident that she can go back alone. That night, Ellen plays with the baby eagle. She wonders what to name it. Qin Tian suggests an absurd name again. Ellen sweetly calls it Xiao Bai, but names like Shanbi and Sand Eagle are better for Qin Tian. The next morning, Qin Tian discovers that Ellen procured some pine oil. He claims it can be useful for many things. Ellen tells him to take care. While alone, Qin Tian uses his superpower every hour, heading to the north. He suddenly arrives in a wetland and orders Sand Eagle to scout the area. He synchronizes his eyesight with that eagle and sees a body of water. He then prepares to head out and check. Qin Tian later arrives at a swamp. He tries to go around it, but the swamp covers a lot of the area. There are also a lot of mosquitoes in the area, making Qin Tian worried about infections. He also can't step into the swamp, seeing that it is unmoving, meaning it is an area for bacterial development. In the end, Qin Tian traversed the swamp. He starts running again to find the plane. He suddenly got caught in quicksand. He changes his position to limit the speed of drowning. He orders Sand Eagle to look for a branch. He brings out ropes and Sand Eagle starts dropping branches. Qin Tian asks for more and starts tying up the branches until he creates a frame of them. He forces himself to climb on the frame of the branches. It took him an hour to escape, and he decides to be more careful in this kind of swamp. He recalls the main character of a movie he has seen before. He disassembles the frame and chooses the driest branches. He bundles them and places each bundle on his feet. Seeing that it works on the swamp, Qin Tian starts moving again on top of the swamp. As he gets near the landing area, he wonders if there are crews on the plane. Meanwhile, on the plane, a blonde-haired woman wonders where she landed. She recalls encountering a storm, losing control, and getting stuck in the turbulence. She was lucky enough to adjust her landing route before crashing. She is glad enough not to have been injured after her accident. She thinks she is in South America because of the swamps. She wonders if someone is living in the area. She starts calling for anyone, but no one is answering. She realizes no one will live on this deserted island. Just when she decided to sleep for the night, she hears some rustling nearby. Not far away, Qin Tian is shouting and looking for someone. Thinking that the crew might be injured, Qin Tian is in a hurry to check on them. Just then, Sand Eagle sees a big white bird and Qin Tian asks her to lead him there. Qin Tian finally finds the aircraft and shouts out loud for anyone. He hopes nothing scary happened. Upon checking, he doesn't see any bleeding signs. The plane looks brand new, but it is an old model. Just then, Qin Tian hears someone shouting and sees the blonde-haired woman running away from something. She exclaims that there are crocodiles. Qin Tian can see some mugger crocodiles chasing her. He goes inside the plane and extends his arm. The woman grabs his hand and climbs the plane. They stumble down inside the cockpit and Qin Tian can't help but blush in front of a beauty with her cushions stuck on him. The crocodiles shake the plane with their tails and Qin Tian feels the woman's cushions again. They check the ground and see the crocodiles attacking the plane. Qin Tian wonders why they are so aggressive. He tries to attack them, but rock arrows are ineffective against their hides. Qin Tian then tries to target their eyes, but they are too small as a target. His attack just made the crocodile angry and it won't take long for the plane to get destroyed. Just then, Qin Tian uses the system. He got tons of points now and looks for a suitable power for the current situation. Just when he decided to buy the Sagittarius talent, the woman suggests burning the crocodiles. Seeing alcohol, Qin Tian stops her and claims that alcohol is extremely important. Qin Tian asks for the lighter and the woman willingly gives it away. Qin Tian then proceeds to buy a superpower. He activates it, but he can't feel anything compared to the cheetah skill. The crocodiles are getting rowdy again. Qin Tian applies pine oil to the arrowhead and lights it up. He uses his skill and it looks like he is in a FPS game. He also got a sight marker and a ruler. He adjusts his position and fires the arrow, hitting the crocodile's eye. Qin Tian continues shooting as the woman helps him with the arrows. He shoots the rest of the crocodiles and the beasts scamper away. The woman shouts that Qin Tian is her hero. Qin Tian introduces himself and asks for the woman's name. She introduces herself as Jessica Hathaway. She asks where they are. Qin Tian asks her to slow down because his English is not good. Jessica wonders what kind of Asian Qin Tian is and thinks he might be Chinese, but all she met before got long braids. Qin Tian if Jessica has a mobile phone, but Jessica only knows the telephone. The two just realize that communication is hard. Night comes and Qin Tian finds canned food on the plane. Jessica opens it in an old manner. Qin Tian discovers the expiration date goes back to 1928. Jessica wonders if there is anything wrong and Qin Tian hopes he can tell that it is expired. Jessica tells him not to worry because it is beef. Qin Tian can taste that the food is okay. The two got full with a spoonful. Feeling tired, they retire for the night. The morning comes and Qin Tian notices Jessica boiling water. He can't believe she has a lot of things in her bag like Doraemon. Qin Tian brings out meat and suggests cooking pork soup. After their meal, the two try to converse, but a language barrier exists. Qin Tian can only show Jessica the rough mapping of the island. Chin Tian thought of having Ellen talk to Jessica, so he invited her to their camp. He feels bad leaving usable parts of the plan out. Just then, Jessica notices the sand eagle and panics. Chin Tian tells her not to worry because it is his pet. They start traveling but encounter thick smoke midday. Even Sand Eagle doesn't have any idea. Jessica then asks for a break. While Chin Tian wonders when the smoke will go away, Jessica falls unconscious. Chin Tian can also feel that he is getting tired. There might be something in the smoke. Chin Tian crawls toward Jessica. Jessica's symptoms are quite severe, while Chin Tian can still move his hands. He grabs Jessica's lighter and rummages through her bag. A medicine box is among the things in the bag. However, Chin Tian can't read English. He then notices an electric box. He also brings out some other things along with his bamboo tube. Chin Tian connected everything and came up with an electrolysis apparatus. The oxygen produced from the process is then passed to Jessica through a tube. Jessica soon regains consciousness, and Chin Tian mentions that the smoke is methane. The two alternately use the oxygen tube as they traverse the methane fog. They see the endpoint and finally get out of it. They finally get to breathe fresh air. It is getting late and the two are still not fully recovered, so they set up camp. Meanwhile, at the camp, Ellen is having trouble with the raccoons. Fish for Xiaobai's meal is now less plentiful. Xiaobai chirps and Ellen gives it a fish. Ellen worries for Chin Tian and decides to look for him the next day. Just then, Xiaobai chirps as it sees its parents. Seeing Sand Eagle, Chin Tian is back for sure. Ellen gets excited to see Chin Tian, but seeing Jessica surprises her more. Chin Tian wonders if Ellen misses him after 3 days. Chin Tian introduces Jessica to Ellen and asks her to communicate with the foreigner. The two immediately kick off a conversation in Chinese. The confused Chin Tian wonders why Jessica is speaking in Chinese now. Jessica blames Chin Tian for trying to speak in broken English and not revealing his nationality. We all agree that Chin Tian is at fault. That night, the three had a long discussion. The two Chinese learn that Jessica is a paleontologist who travels around the world. She heard of a nose-walking beast and immediately flew off toward the South Pacific. However, she encountered a storm and crashed on this island. It turns out Jessica is not from a rescue team. At least Chin Tian can now pinpoint their current location with Jessica's information, and they can start making a boat. Ellen wonders why Jessica is not worried about crashing on a deserted island. Well, the paleontologist's spirit is burning with passion and excitement. Her scary eyes are enough to cut open Shanbi and study him. Chin Tian asks this time if Jessica is not worried. She claims not because the two mention making a boat to escape the island, and the discovery of Haonang cats and individuals on this island is one of the greatest discoveries of the 20th century. Ellen corrects her, saying that it is the 21st century. Jessica claims that would be 70 years ahead of them, and wonders if the Republic of China is using a different calendar. Chin Tian claims that it is now the People's Republic of China. Jessica wonders if it is a change of regime again. The two Chinese get offended. Jessica apologizes and asks to be corrected instead. Chin Tian then tells her about the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949. Jessica claims that it is still 1927. Chin Tian and Ellen are shocked. Chin Tian can see that Jessica is not lying, taking into account the old plane and the canned foods manufacturing date. Jessica then asks what year it is, and Chin Tian surprises her by telling her that it is 2020 for them. Jessica then elaborates on what happened until she encountered the storm. Ellen claims that they also encountered a storm. Chin Tian thinks the storm might be a passage of time and space. The topic of time travel is heavy for them because they won't know the way back. Knowing that there are prehistoric and dangerous animals out there, Chin Tian suggests focusing on protecting themselves and improving their quality of life. Jessica wonders if Shanbi can also time travel, but Chin Tian finds it impossible since he has also seen a Titan python. As a paleontologist, Jessica knows that such creatures should have lived in a different era and couldn't live in the forest's refreshing temperature and conditions. Ellen then explains that they have encountered 2 heavy rains, which can explain how a Titan python can live in the area. Chin Tian and Ellen just hope it won't come through their front door. Ellen then tells Chin Tian and Jessica to rest while she does the night watch. Jessica wants to make it clear if Chin Tian and Ellen are lovers. The two shyly deny, and Jessica asks if Ellen is pursuing Chin Tian because she is interested in sleeping in the same bed as Chin Tian, while Ellen also sleeps on a separate bed. Jessica claims she already likes Chin Tian after seeing his heroic acts during her rescue. Ellen is clearly jealous and frustrated. Chin Tian then tells Jessica to calm down and explains how everything should start purely with getting to know each other based on Chinese culture. Jessica then starts flirting with him. A flustered Chin Tian then retires for the night and encloses himself in a sleeping bag. Ellen feels glad but suddenly gets threatened by Jessica's stripping. She is surprised at how open Americans are. She then checks on something and sees Chin Tian watching everything. Jessica says hi to her audience. Ellen scolds Chin Tian while the pets know how their master should be punished. Morning comes and Ellen gives Chin Tian a humble breakfast. Jessica wonders if Chin Tian upset her, but Ellen is only teasing our poor boy. Jessica can see that Ellen also likes him. Jessica knows that Chinese people are polygamous and she offers the first wife seat and big room to Ellen. Jessica feels this is a bit tricky. Ellen goes to Qintian and asks for a big room. She gets flustered after saying that. The three later discuss their future plans. The first stage is they need to explore and learn about the whole island. With Qintian's talent, he made barricades against the feisty boars. He also intends to capture some boars and raise them in captivity to ensure food for winter. They also need more resources, especially iron, to create nails to hold the boat in place. The second stage is shipbuilding, which might take years to achieve. Jessica then brings out the contents of his bag to check if there is something useful. Ellen notices a dress and Jessica tells her to try it on. Jessica also has iron tools that are useful. The next day, Qintian checks the bamboo forest with Shanbi. Just then, Sand Eagle discovers something. Jian arrives at the dunghill side and still can't believe he dove into it before. He tests it out and discovers soil nitrate. He collects some dung to make black powder in the future. He goes back to the camp where Jessica prepared a container for the nitrate soil. While preparing things, Qintian tells Ellen to guide Jessica around the camp. With a lot of nitrate soil prepared, Qintian starts cooking them, and the evaporated water and viscous nitrate start precipitating on the bottom. They filter out what is needed until they obtain potassium nitrate. It was a tiring day, so they had their fill first. After that, Qintian now obtains potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur powders. He estimated the amount for each component and mixed them together. Ellen wonders what Qintian is doing. Qintian lights up the mixed powder and it explodes. They succeeded in making black powder. Jessica then suggests making a bomb immediately. They start preparing dried soil and dried bamboo for the bomb. Black powder is wrapped in a slightly damped paper, and Qintian starts making layers in the bamboo. Here is the anatomy of their homemade bomb. The girls are surprised at how Qintian can easily make a bomb. He laughs as he recalls the pranks that he was a part of when he was still a kid. Unbearable memories indeed. Soon after, Qintian tells the girls to back off, and he throws a lighted bomb outside of the camp area. It explodes and Qintian gains points for successfully creating a bomb. Seeing that the explosion is not powerful, they wonder how much black powder should be put into the bomb. Qintian claims he just needs a bomb that can scare off wild animals. Just in case, they later made more lethal bombs but were limited to only 3. Days later, the group starts cooking bricks in kilns. Seeing that it takes a day to dry one, they gave up. They then decided to use wood and bamboo instead. The summer heat arrives and it is getting into the hard-working Qintian. He takes a break and drinks some water. He realizes he hasn't moved the potassium nitrate for a while now. He then decides to use it to make ice. He puts a pot of drinkable water in a pool of water with dissolved potassium nitrate. He then starts preparing some raspberries. He pours out the water from the pot and discovers the accumulated thin ice. He tops it with crushed raspberries and the dessert is done. Ellen and Jessica come back and Ellen happily presents a grape to Qintian. Jessica claims that Ellen wants to surprise Qintian. Qintian then presents them with their reward. The girls are excited to see an ice smoothie. The girls enjoy the dessert, making Ellen feel like surfing in the ocean waves. Jessica wonders if Qintian used some Chinese sorcery to make it, but Qintian explains that he only used potassium nitrate. Embarrassed by the compliment, Qintian suggests putting in some grapes too. However, the glutton is already eating the ice smoothie as it is. In order to make better ice, Qintian and Ellen make some pottery similar to a matryoshka doll. The new tools can be used to greatly improve the cooling, and creating the ice will be more efficient. Meanwhile, Jessica is focused on making wine using the grapes they foraged. They make sure to cover it in tight containers or it will turn into vinegar instead. Jessica then checks on what Qintian is doing. He claims he is making fan blades, not the fan itself. However, he claims that it will be automatic. He will put it on a long stick and the other end will be pushed by steam from boiling water. Ellen suggests adding a condenser and Qintian agrees. Midsummer arrived and the group managed to improve their steam-powered fan. They made it to reuse the water being condensed. They also created raspberry popsicles. Shanbi also got addicted to it. Ellen worries for Xiaobai and Sand Eagle. Qintian suggests giving them iced water. A storm suddenly comes and Ellen is worried that the boars will topple down their incomplete fence. Qintian assures her that it will be different this time because they have the bombs. Rain continues pouring down and the boars come out of the forest. Jessica has wanted to see this scene since she heard about it. Ellen wants to help too. Qintian can't believe how much the rain pours. He starts shooting arrows at the rampaging boars. Seeing that the boars are divided, Qintian asks Shanbi and Sand Eagle to take care of the ones on the left. The two pets start obliterating the boars. Qintian and Jessica start taking care of the boars on their side and find out that they are increasing. Ellen suddenly shouts to move away. She tells the other two to be careful as she tosses a bomb. The bomb lands in front of the boars, and the explosion is enough to make them panic. The boars on the other side are also escaping. Qintian doesn't want to let them get away and starts firing arrows again. Shanbi and Sand Eagle are also doing their jobs very well. They come out victorious as the rest of the boars escape. Seeing that they killed a lot, Qin Tian knows that the boars can't reproduce for a while now. He needs to be careful, or they will lose their source of meat. With this amount of meat, they will have food for 6 months. The group then starts focusing on strengthening their fence during rainy days. During the 2 weeks of rain, they no longer worried about the boar raids. The island continues to experience the rainy season. Qin Tian wonders if the wine they brewed is now fine. The girls are excited but get disgusted seeing the insides of the pot. Jessica wonders if she brewed it wrong. Qin Tian explains that this is a normal phenomenon during fermentation. Qin Tian filters the impurities and presents their home-brewed wine. However, it is too sour to taste. Qin Tian then realizes that they should wait a bit longer. He then tells the girls that they will make distilled spirits. He tells them how the distillation process will go. He claims it will take until the night before the process ends. Ellen arrives with brown sugar and baking soda. Qin Tian concocts something, and after refrigeration, he lets the girls taste it. Ellen can't believe she is tasting Jianlibao, a Chinese carbonated drink. Jessica is reminded of Coca-Cola. Well, Jianlibao is Chinese Coke. A month later, the camp is completely perfect, with a grocery room, pottery room, and washing block. Qin Tian is awarded system points. Summer ends without anyone knowing, and Xiaobai can now fly on its own. Qin Tian thanks Ellen for the clothes she made for him. She is glad after spending too much time making it. However, Qin Tian is too focused on functionality instead. Qin Tian plans to investigate the surrounding areas, especially the plane's crash site, for 3 days. Right now, Qin Tian can do it with enough food packed in his bag. Qin Tian and Shanbi continued running the whole day. He finds a place to camp and uses Jessica's camping tents and sleeping bags. The next day, Qin Tian arrives at the volcano he has seen before. It's a good thing he wore jeans because of the thick shrubs in the area. He notices Shanbi feeling unwell. It might be because of the smell of sulfur. Qin Tian tells Shanbi to wait for him and he climbs the volcano alone. There, he finds a sulfur mine. With this amount, they can make more bombs. He also checks the surrounding rocks and minerals. He doesn't know what type of rock it is, so he purchased an appraisal skill to check it. He finds out it can be used to create colorless glass. After finding a ton of ore and minerals, Qin Tian camps for the night. He tries excavating the volcano's surface the next day, but it's really hard, causing him back pain in the process. The Sand Eagle arrives with a letter from Ellen. She tells her to be alert and careful with love. Qin Tian blushes as he plans for his next actions. He then asks Sand Eagle to scout for him, and Qin Tian synchronizes with it. He needs to figure out the methane fog's duration. Sand Eagle reports that there are 2-legged animals nearby. Qin Tian runs as he tells Shanbi to stay. He uses his superpower and asks Sand Eagle if he is getting near. He continues running until he finds people. A group of Viking-looking men is chasing a little girl. The cornered little girl tries to fight the men, but they have shields to block her attack. Still, she manages to target their vital points. She is alert enough to dodge the attacks of the other men. She didn't notice that she was surrounded. She shouts as she keeps fighting them. Qin Tian can see that they are really killing each other. He feels like he needs to save the little girl. He starts concocting a bomb right on the spot. He created a smoke bomb. He is nervous about using the bomb against people, but the island is lawless in the first place. To save the girl, he fires an arrow at the men. The little girl takes the chance to escape from the distracted Viking men. Qin Tian fires more arrows to distract the men. The escaping girl just noticed Qin Tian. Qin Tian throws the smoke bomb and it immediately explodes. The girl stopped and watched the smoke. Qin Tian tells her to run, and the girl follows him. The smoke clears out and the Viking men start chasing them. Qin Tian knows it is hard to win against them and running away is the only option. He can see that the girl is bleeding a lot and tells her to get on his back. However, the girl tells him to go alone instead. She plans to fight the men so Qin Tian can run away. Qin Tian sighs and grabs her. He uses his superpower to gain speed. Just then, Sand Eagle reports that the Titan Python is nearby. The Titan Python appears, scaring the Viking men. Despite the crowd in front of it, the Titan Python chases after Qin Tian. He wonders if it has a grudge against him. Qin Tian dodges its attack and the girl leaps on it. Qin Tian is impressed to see the girl maneuver on the python's slippery body. She stabs it and it makes the python hiss in pain. She falls from the python which starts attacking her. Qin Tian saves her using his superpower while throwing a bomb in its mouth. They get pushed aside by the python's body, and smoke starts coming out of the python's mouth. It tries to attack Qin Tian and the girl, but the bomb inside explodes. It falls to the ground and Qin Tian and the girl escape the area. Qin Tian and the girl continue to run away. The Titan Boa gets back up and chases after them. Qin Tian promises to pray to God every day if he saves them. The girl exclaims that there is no use in fighting a snake while the two hide in a bush. The Titan Boa's senses should be busted up after the bomb explodes in its mouth. Qin Tian sees the chance and orders Sand Eagle to attack the huge snake. Sand Eagle is now distracting the Titan Boa. However, Qintian was actually holding the girl's chest all this time. Qintian claims it is time to move. Later, the two meet Shan Bi. The girl quickly stands on guard, seeing a beast. Qintian tells her that Shan Bi is a pet and they can ride him. The girl bows down to Qintian. Qintian puts her on Shan Bi and they travel until Qintian notices that he needs to tend to the girl's wounds. The girl is surprised to see a lighter that can easily light up a fire. Qintian then brings out medicine and uses sign language to tell the girl that it will be painful. The girl puts up with the pain and her arm gets bandaged. The wounds on her thighs are next and Qintian brainwashes himself first that she is wearing something colorless. The girl moans in pain and she finally gets treated. After setting up the tent, Qintian tries to move the girl inside, but her wildlife alertness kicks in and she attacks Qintian. Qintian narrowly dodges the blade, causing the girl to bump into him and they both fall. The girl apologizes, but Qintian understands her nature. Inside the tent, the girl's stomach growls. Embarrassed, she pats her stomach vigorously. Qintian gives her some dried meat and she humbly accepts it. Later, they sleep in a comfortable position. In the morning, Qintian wakes up to the sound of the girl screaming. He stops her from fighting with Sand Eagle. Qintian expresses gratitude to Sand Eagle for luring away the Titan Boa. Unable to communicate well with the girl, Qintian decides to take her to the camp. Ellen and Jessica, who had received a letter in advance through Sand Eagle, meet the girl. Jessica now doubts Qintian's taste in girls. The girl asks a question and Jessica replies that they are not witches. They continue their conversation. Ellen wonders what they're talking about and Jessica explains that the girl is Nick Hani, a member of the Lada tribe from Yemen. The Lada tribe was self-sufficient, but they mysteriously disappeared in August 1939. Soldiers haven't seen any signs of their departure. Qintian wonders if their situation is similar to theirs, traveling through time and space. Jessica asks Nick for more information and learns that they have been on the island for 3 years. However, a year ago, a group of men on ships started capturing them. Qintian recalls the pirates. Ellen suggests aligning with the Lada tribe and Qintian agrees. Nick shares that they have been surviving by hunting and foraging. They referred to the area covered in methane fog as the Land of the Dead since no one has returned after entering it. The fog stretches throughout the island and only disappears for 2 days a year during winter. Qintian states that they have 3 months remaining. Nick also expresses a desire for wizard Qintian to help them. Qintian wonders why he was called a wizard. Jessica explains that Nick saw his actions yesterday as mysterious and now reveres him as a chosen wizard by the saint. Qintian asks Jessica to clarify to Nick that he is not a wizard. However, Jessica suggests using this as an opportunity to connect with the Lada tribe. Qintian thinks it's a great idea and they start planning, scaring Ellen with their laughter. Later, Nick starts worshipping Qintian. Jessica suggests learning Arabic in 2 months, but Qintian refuses, fearing it will overwhelm him. Just then, the system suggests buying a book on world languages. They all divide their tasks. Ellen will cook, Qintian will bathe in the river, and Jessica will babysit Nick for now. Jessica helps Nick take a bath to prevent her from getting sick. Ellen finishes cooking later, presenting an extravagant dinner for the first time. They all praise Ellen's improvement in cooking. Nick remarks that it's the first time she has seen so much food on a table and finds it delicious. She cries, expressing her hope that her tribe can also enjoy such food. Later, Qintian sets up a tent to sleep outside after explaining Nick's situation to the 2 girls. Nick sleeps in the corner of the cave while holding her knives. The next day, Jessica teaches Ellen and Qintian the Arabic language. After their lesson, Ellen wonders if Qintian will search for the Lada tribe. Due to the fog, Ellen suggests building a boat to go around it. Qintian agrees and goes to search for wood. Nick tries to help Qintian cut down trees, but he tells her not to because she is still injured. Nick pouts and demonstrates her strength by easily chopping down a tree, leaving Qintian shocked. They manage to gather enough wood in 3 days. The following day, the smoke from melted pyrite is sufficient to scare away nearby animals. Qintian does more processing and finally obtains iron. However, pyrite can only yield a small amount of iron. While melting the iron, Qintian notices that Nick fits the lowly standard. Nick gets confused and coughs. Later, they pour the melted iron into a mold. During dinner, Ellen reports that their area has limited resources, specifically fruits, and expresses concern about winter. Qintian suggests making mixed canned fruits. To store the canned fruits, they need glass, so they all go to the river the next day to collect silicon, a material used for making glass. Qintian comments on the clarity of something he found and Jessica covers her white shirt. Just then, Ellen discovers something sparkly. Luckily, she finds gold. Nick appears with a handful of gold as well. Jessica wonders where she found it, and they all stumble upon a gold haven. Jessica also finds a piece of diamond. They celebrate the potential wealth they will have. However, they realize something and decide to focus on finding silicon instead. Afterward, they leave with baskets filled with silicon, gold, and diamonds. If they manage to escape the island one day, they will be rich. Later, Qin prepares some shell powder and galena to reinforce the glass. He melts the materials together with Nick. Meanwhile, Ellen and Jessica make a blowing tube for shaping the glass. Afterward, Qin demonstrates glass blowing, leaving Nick surprised and thinking it's magic. Qin continues to give instructions on forming the glass. However, they encounter some failures, and Qin warns the girls to be careful unlike him. Ellen attempts it in one go, and with Jessica's support, she starts shaping the bottle. The glass cools down, but Ellen isn't satisfied with the result. Nevertheless, she appears cool in front of the others, earning their praise. She wonders what to do next, and Qin instructs her to dip it in water and use a knife to cut it. Ellen suggests creating a rotating round table for making crystal wares. Qin polishes the glass made by Ellen and shows it to Nick. Nick exclaims that Qin is truly a wizard, and Qin can now understand her thanks to the system. In the following days, the girls focus on making more glass bottles while Qin and Nick gather materials for making bombs. During their meal, Qin proposes the idea of making a telescope for searching and investigation. He plans to create a Keplerian telescope with convex lenses. The next day, Qin makes the lens molds with Ellen, managing to produce 5 of them. They pour liquid crystals onto the molds and wait for them to cool down. Qin then assembles the lenses in a bamboo frame, and they finally have a telescope. They all try it out, and Nick is particularly amazed by it. Additionally, they also make magnifying glasses. With everything prepared, the next step is building the boat. However, they have limited sources of wood and iron. Based on the encyclopedia, Qin decides to construct a 2-hull boat with a sail. Jessica suggests making paddles as well in case the wind blows them in the wrong direction, so they won't rely solely on the sail. Ellen is impressed by Jessica's knowledge. They immediately start working on the boat, and Qin also installs a cabin as a precaution. After a week, the boat is completed and floating. While enjoying the night sky, Nick promises to save her father and tribe. Ellen wonders what Qin is contemplating deeply. Qin expresses his concerns about their first voyage, but Ellen tells him that it is exciting and thrilling instead. She assures him not to worry because Jessica is now with them. As Ellen tells Qin to be careful, the two blush. Jessica wonders if this is a lover's conversation and asks if she can join in. The two are surprised, and Ellen tells Jessica to wear more clothing. The following morning, it's time for them to depart. Qin gives Ellen some precautions and asks Shanbi to protect her. Qin and Jessica assure Ellen that they will return soon. Ellen swears to protect the camp. Meanwhile, Qin is relieved that he doesn't get seasick. Nick is now ready to save her people with Qin and Jessica. Jessica is the one who will navigate the boat, but her arrogance irritates Qin. Noon arrives and the wind calms down, which continues into the afternoon. Paddling becomes the only solution, but they need to take occasional rests. Night falls and they are almost reaching the other side of the island. However, they still need another day to reach their destination. Jessica starts her night watch, but after 2 hours, Qin wakes up. Jessica tells him to go back to sleep, but Qin decides to stay awake and listen to Jessica's field of study. Jessica clings to him and tells the story of the Megalodon, the ancient king of the seas. Qin gets scared and requests a different topic. Jessica suggests the Mosasaurus, but being at sea makes Qin afraid of hearing about sea creatures. Jessica then suggests turtles, and Qin agrees to that. Like a child, Jessica shares her knowledge about ancient creatures until morning comes. Nick shouts as she sees a coastline. They land and set up a camp for the night. Nick reveals that the pirates are also in the coastal area. The next day, they travel through the forest and vegetation until they reach the village. However, Nick suggests hiding first because she finds it strange that there are no guards at this time. Sand Eagle reports that there are many humans around. Qin plans to scout the area first, but Nick starts running toward the village. Everyone was actually in a meeting to convince the elder to save Nick, who had gone missing. Suddenly, Nick appears and surprises everyone. She learns that the men, including her father, are also missing. The elder, Hamill, explains that they had been searching for Nick, who had been missing for days. Some men offer to search for the others who are missing, but Nick stops them. She then tells them that she crossed the deadly area and reached the other side of the island. She claims to have met the Mighty One. However, everyone considers her delusional and suggests that she rest from exhaustion. A man named Kata dismisses the idea of relying on a non-existent entity. Nick insists that the Mighty One exists, and Sand Eagle suddenly flies by. Panic ensues as Sand Eagle tries to scare them. Qin makes his entrance with the help of Sand Eagle. Nick refers to him as the Mighty One, and everyone gathers around Qin. Aware that they find him suspicious, Qin decides to take action. He ignites the lighter and everyone is astonished to witness what they perceive as magic. The lot of people immediately kneel before him. Kata rudely demands to test Qin. Nick exclaims how strong Qin is, igniting Kata's fighting spirit. Qin showcases his superpower and surprises Kata with his speed, leaving everyone in awe of his inhuman swiftness. A stunned Kata breaks into a cold sweat. Qin Tian declares that he will use only 2 fingers and instructs Kata to stand. Despite Kata's efforts, he is unable to move. Qin Tian smirks at him, and everyone is amazed to see their strongest warrior rendered weak before Qin Tian. Realizing that Kata cannot fight, Qin Tian removes his fingers from Kata's forehead. Kata springs up and glares at Qin Tian before ultimately leaving. Qin Tian is relieved that his plan worked. Elder Hamel requests Qin Tian to save their tribe, and Jessica suddenly appears. The elder refers to her as the Mighty Woman. Seeing Qin Tian's superpower, Jessica comments on the reality of the Chinese term hidden dragon, and claims that men keeping secrets are more attractive. The crowd cheers as the mighty Qin Tian offers his assistance. Elder Hamel then leads them to their tent, which functions as a church. Qin Tian wonders about Nick's whereabouts, and Jessica informs him that she is outside, sharing stories about the mighty Qin Tian. She also mentions how the telescope gives her remarkable vision. Kata states that he admires genuine strength, not magic. Qin Tian expresses concern for the tribe, which consists of the elderly, women, children, and injured soldiers. A girl named Abby Elu approaches them and offers some fruits. She tearfully implores Qin Tian to save their tribe. Qin Tian reassures her and gives her some dried meat. Hungry, Elu eagerly devours the meat, revealing that the tribe is experiencing a food shortage. The presence of another group on the island has made it difficult for their tribe to acquire sufficient food. Qin Tian realizes the severity of their situation. Elder Hamel arrives and scolds Elu, but Qin Tian intervenes, assuring him that it's fine. He observes the amount of food Elder Hamel has brought and politely declines, acknowledging the food shortage. He emphasizes that he was merely fortunate to be chosen as the Mighty One, and requests to be treated as a fellow human. Qin Tian retrieves his bag containing smoked meat and offers to share it with the Lada people. Elder Hamel becomes emotional and expresses his gratitude to Qin Tian. The Lada people rejoice, believing that the gods have answered their prayers by sending the Mighty One to rescue them. Elder Hamel is relieved that the Mighty One is a kind-hearted person. Qin Tian feels the weight of his title, but Jessica assures him that everyone is supporting him. She reminds him of the Chinese saying that changing the world is possible with everyone's help. The next day, Qin Tian and Jessica search for the others. Nick explains that they went to find food. Elder Hamel offers fruits to Qin Tian once again. Qin Tian inquires about the other fighters, but Elder Hamel insists that the Mighty One alone is more than capable of dealing with the brutes. Jessica clarifies that the Mighty One has exhausted much of his powers to descend. Qin Tian feigns weakness and states that he can only investigate now. Elder Hamel becomes emotional, believing that Qin Tian has made significant sacrifices. Fortunately, Nick knows the enemy's location and leads Qin Tian to a coastal encampment. Upon realizing that they are Vikings posing as pirates, Qin Tian deems it impossible to establish peace with them. Nick notices the Lada people being held as slaves. Seeing the guards around the perimeter, Qin Tian assumes the presence of an enemy. Sand Eagle reports that someone is approaching, prompting Qin Tian and Nick to hide. A group of armed pirates appears and they discuss a near-death encounter with a Titan boa. One survivor shares their experience, causing some of them to feel fear. However, another pirate claims they can defeat the Titan boa once they obtain the Fountain of Youth. Recognizing the Titan boa, they believe the Lada people have hidden it. Continuing their patrol, Qin Tian can hardly believe he heard something fantastical. Realizing that these pirates intentionally arrived on the island, Qin Tian suspects they possess a map showing the way home. Nick expresses surprise that Qin Tian understands the pirates, and he explains that he can easily learn any language. Determined, the two set off as Qin Tian plans to discuss a strategy with Jessica. Meanwhile, a group of tribesmen is being pursued by the pirates led by Kata. He instructs Ragna to leave behind the injured Aruba so they can escape. Aruba pleads not to be abandoned, but Kata reminds him that he is a courageous soldier and leaves him behind. Ragna feels guilty, but it is for the sake of the tribe's survival. Suddenly, Nick appears, and an arrow strikes one of the pirates. Kata warns against sounding the horn. Nick struggles in her fight against the pirates. Kata charges forward with a spear, taking down one of the pirates. However, they are outnumbered and Kata calls for Ragna's assistance. Surrounded, Nick whispers to Kata, advising him to conserve his energy. Qin Tian arrives and saves Aruba, while Kata and Nick keep the pirates occupied. Aruba weeps as Qin Tian conceals him in a nearby tree. Qin Tian then communicates with Nick through Sand Eagle, signaling her. Nick becomes focused and starts eliminating some of the pirates. Kata follows suit. One of the pirates panics as the tide turns against them. Nick and Kata move to finish off the remaining pirates. Kata throws his spear to kill the pirate with the blowhorn. They start running away, knowing that the other pirates are now alerted to the horn. They ask Qin Tian what to do next. He suggests waiting for the night. Pirates start coming to the area and finding their dead comrades on the ground. They laugh at the dead while calling them weak. They see some blood traces and plan to follow their target. Meanwhile, Qin Tian just finished applying first aid in Aruba. Aruba apologizes for being a burden. They travel through the forest until they settle in a cave for the night. Nick wonders if the pirates know their tribe's location, but Kata says they don't. Ragna explains that they only ventured further to look for food. Just then, their stomachs growled in unison. Qin Tian gives them some dried meat, but Kata is still hesitating to trust Qin Tian. Aruba claims Kata's share, but Kata swipes it away while blaming Aruba for the recent issue. However, Qin Tian can see that they don't really hate each other. The next morning, they continue traveling through the forest and arrive at their tribe camp. Qin Tian asks them to take care of the injured Aruba. Qin Tian meets Jessica and reports about the Vikings. Jessica sighs as she finds it better to see their bones instead of the ones in the flesh. Qin Tian shares what he heard from the Vikings about the Titan boa and Leviathan. Jessica claims that a Leviathan is just a huge whale and tells Qin Tian not to worry about it. Qin Tian then asks about the Fountain of Youth. Jessica claims that it is a famous myth among the Vikings. A fountain contains water that can help a pirate live forever. However, another pirate uses a chalice to hide the fountain and disappears. Qin Tian then asks her about the tribe's situation, and Jessica claims that the Lada tribe's situation is very bad, especially in food matters. Qin Tian needs to come up with a solution for it and wonders if they can borrow some food. Jessica gets confused, and Qin Tian explains that the pirates should have a storehouse that has food in it. They can distract the pirates on one side and sneak in to steal their food. Jessica worries about the plan, but Qin Tian swears to make it successful. However, Jessica remembers that there are a lot of people chained up in the pirates' camp. Qin Tian claims he also has a plan for that. The next day, Qin Tian asks Elder Hamel if there are any craftsmen in the tribe. Elder Hamel remembers Alex and immediately introduces her to them. However, she is too focused on creating a spear. Qin Tian is amazed at how intricate Alex is. Alex finishes her spear and just notices the others beside her. Qin Tian asks Alex if she can make a container and small pipes, basically a catheter and reagent bottle. Alex proudly swears that she can make anything. Qin Tian then asks Elder Hamel if there are any leftover bones. Elder Haim gets excited, assuming that Qin Tian will do voodoo magic, but Qin Tian refutes what he said. Jessica steps in and tells the elder that they will only make a useful tool. Hamel then claims that they have collected the bones in one spot as a form of respect toward the Earth Spirit. Qin Tian then asks Elder Hamel to leave them for now. Jessica wonders what Qin Tian will do. Qin Tian explains that he will produce phosphorus. He then writes a request to Ellen for silica and sends Sand Eagle away. Qin Tian then asks Jessica to help him look for food. As they look around the forest, they discover Aruba while looking for food despite being injured. Qin Tian wonders where Aruba found the huge leaf on his arm. Aruba shows it and claims that they are using it as a hat. Jessica and Qin Tian shout as they recognize the taro leaf. Qin Tian asks Aruba to lead them to where he found the leaf. They later arrive in a taro field. Jessica exclaims that they found food, but Aruba tells them that the leaves are inedible. Qin Tian claims that taro is edible once cooked. However, Aruba can remember how his mouth burned for a day after eating a leaf. Aruba trusts Qin Tian for now and starts plucking leaves. Qin Tian stops him and claims that they won't eat the leaves. Jessica shows that the flesh growing underground is edible. The three of them started harvesting and brought a lot of taro back to the tribe. Qin Tian and Jessica start boiling the taro in a huge pot of water. After some time, Qin Tian uncovers the lid, and the delicious smell fills the air. After checking that they are cooked, the boiled taros are shared with the tribe. They start munching on the taro, but Qin Tian tells them to peel the taro first. Elder Hamel cries as he realizes that they won't starve anymore. Qin Tian and Jessica can only smile. They all thank Qin Tian. Elder Hamel is even kneeling. The other lot of people arrive as the smell leads them into the area. Qin Tian tells them that he is cooking food for them. They get excited as they see huge pots of it. Nick and Kata wonder what is happening, and some of them explain the situation. Elder Hamel gets their attention to thank the almighty Qin Tian. Qin Tian then makes a speech just to open the lid so the food can be served. While everyone enjoys the taro, Nick and Elu approach Qin Tian and Jessica. Elu gives Qin Tian a handmade necklace as thanks for saving their tribe. Ragna comments on how down-to-earth Qin Tian is, but Kata still can't accept him. After their community meal, Qin Tian announces that the food supply might run out soon. He suggests building a boat as soon as possible to leave the area and rescue the captivated Lada people. They soon go to the coast where Qin Tian and the others landed. Qin Tian then asks Alex for his request. Jessica is impressed by Alex's craftsmanship, but there is still not enough for Qin Tian's needs. Later, Qin Tian starts collecting seashells to ground them later and gain calcium hydroxide. Jessica boils seawater to acquire salt brine. They mix the two together and go through different processes until they acquire magnesium powder. Seeing that it is ready, Jessica suggests testing immediately. Qin Tian lights up a bit of the powder and the flashy spark is enough to be called witchcraft by the Lada people. The tribe later stops working and takes their dinner. Alex reports to Qintian, who asks her to create a tenon and gives her a blueprint. Alex is impressed by how things get connected without ropes. She claims it will take a long time if it will be done on the boat. Jessica explains to Alex that it will not the boat as a whole and marks the parts to focus on the blueprint. Alex claims that it will just take 3 days and Qintian leaves the job to her. The next morning, Sandeagle is back with a package. Qintian is glad to see new tools and commends Ellen's craftsmanship. She even has a note to warn Qintian of his safety. With the animal bones, Qintian grounds and mixes them with some of phosphorus. They can obtain a safety match soon. What Qintian wants is the red phosphorus match because it is safer. He continues working on the processes. While at it, he and Jessica prepare tree bark for the matchsticks. They soon finished all the components for the safety match. Qintian starts mixing things until Jessica asks him if he is ready. Qintian strikes the match and it successfully lights up. Jessica gets excited and hugs Qintian. Qintian then moves over to work on Aqua Regia. The two later return to the coastal camp. Nick proudly shows how her wounds are now healed. Alex shows how they have already made 6 boats. Qintian is impressed by how sturdy they are. Alex wonders when they are going to save the captivated ones, and Qintian tells her that it will be in 4 days. 4 days later, Qintian and Jessica give out 1 safety matchbox per person. Qintian then demonstrates how to use it, and Elu immediately tries it out. Everyone is amazed by the magic, but it is only chemistry for modern people. Everyone is amazed that they can light up a fire easily by themselves. Everyone finds them convenient, especially our tsundere kata. Qintian, then it is almost time to rescue the captive tribe members, and everyone cheers for their success. Qintian then announces the members of the rescue team. He chooses the twins Bokuma and Bohama, who are both good with bows and knives, and Viru, who is the oldest dual-axe-wielding warrior. Nick, Kata, Aruba, and Ragna will also join them. Qintian tells them the plan and dismisses them. Jessica worries that Qintian doesn't have the determination to kill a person yet. She reminds him that even animals kill each other for survival and points out that the pirate's hands are already bloodied from killing people. Qintian calms down as Jessica hugs him. The next night in the pirate's camp, guards complain about how cold the weather is outside. Just then, one of them notices a light in the forest and thinks that it must be the Fountain of Youth. Everyone panics as they see the divine light. Everyone then moves out. Meanwhile, a man is fishing in the nearby area. He notices a shark taking the bait and pulling it up. He then throws a harpoon to capture it. Just then, someone calls him. The guard reports to Captain Suomeng, but the captain reminds him not to disturb his fishing time. The guard then points at the diving light from the forest. Suomeng commends him and claims that a bright light will surely attract a lot of fish. Everyone runs toward the light to get the treasure and gain a reward from their captain. Suomeng wonders who will be the fish or catcher tonight. The pirates are surprised to see the light move. They continue chasing it. Meanwhile, Qintian can see that the pirates are following the flashlight. Seeing that they are leaving the camp, Qintian orders Bokuma and Bahama to stay behind and give them support when necessary. He, Nick, and Kata move toward the camp wall. Kata nimbly crosses over the tall wall. Nick follows Kata's move. Qintian didn't have a choice but to use his superpower. The three successfully infiltrated the camp and entered a room. They find Nick's father and other captured Lada people. Qintian tells Kata to stand guard as he makes the Aqua Regia. He uses it to easily melt the iron chains that lock the cages. Just when they almost finish releasing everyone, they hear the pirates' horn blow. The pirates start moving in their direction, and Bohama panics about what to do next. Bokuma reminds her about the magic powder left for them. The twins then start firing flame arrows at the pirates. The food warehouse gets caught on fire. Suomeng orders the others to put out the fire while he goes somewhere with other men. Just as he expected, he sees the Lada people escaping. Qintian can't believe there is someone smart among these brutes. Seeing their slow progress in escaping, Qintian lights up a bomb. He throws it toward the pirates and causes a huge explosion. Qintian tells everyone to hurry up. He hopes they can hold out before the pirates can catch them. A pirate suddenly flies toward them, and Kata immediately defends themselves. Suomeng appears and breaks Kata's spear. He fights as he wonders how he will torture them. Seeing that the pirates are gaining their senses, Qintian worries that he and Nick are not enough to stop them. Suomeng then offers 200 gold per tribal head for his men. It was enough to revive the pirates' senses. Qintian throws another bomb, but a pirate with claws deflects it to the side. The clawed pirate tries to attack Qintian, but Nick blocks him in time. Nick asks Qintian to leave the pirates to her. More arrows from the twins rain down on the pirates. Their shields and clothes easily caught fire because of the substances Qintian added to the arrowheads. He also pulls his bow and shoots at the pirates to incapacitate them. They all became wary of him. A pirate tries to attack Qintian from behind, but Chief Frasong defends him. Qintian gets help to get over the wall. Chief Frosong shows how much of a fighter he is and easily fights the armed pirates with his bare hands. Qin Tian realizes that Chief Frosong doesn't need any help at all. Everyone tries to mob him, but Chief Frosong scatters sand around. Qin Tian worries that only Kata is having a hard time because he is injured. Kata continues fighting Suomeng, but his spear is not holding out. The remaining bomb pirates are also getting back up now. Qin Tian can see that it is time to go and light up another type of bomb. He throws it and orders his allies to close their eyes. It was a simple flash bomb enough to blind the pirates. He tells Nick, Kata, and Chief Frosong to hurry and escape. After they got over the wall, Qin Tian threw a smoke bomb to buy some time for their escape to the forest. Suomeng orders his men to hurry and follow the Lada people. However, the forest is too dark for them to travel. Suomeng gets mad at his men for letting the fish escape. Everyone panics as they head toward the forest with torches. Qin Tian's team can hear the pirates' horns blowing. Qin Tian realizes that they need to hurry up. However, it will take them a day to reach the coast. They stop as they see pirates searching the area. Qin Tian tells everyone to hide in the meantime and wait for the pirates to leave the area. After half an hour, they encounter another search party. Just when the Lada people were assured that they could escape, some pirates sniffed them out. The fighters from the tribe immediately moved out and easily suppressed half of the search party. The remaining pirates panic as they plan to blow the horn. They try to blow the horn, but Bokuma and Bohama arrive on time to shoot them with arrows. Qin Tian still can't believe how fragile life is after seeing the dead pirates. He then tells the Lada people to move since the confrontation might have alerted the other pirates. However, the pirates immediately arrived in the area. Qintina thinks of a way to distract the pirates. He tells the Lada people to go while he distracts the pirates. He tells them not to worry and to keep moving. He lights up another bomb and distracts the pirates with a smoke bomb. Nick tries to join Qin Tian, but her father stops her. The pirates notice Qin Tian running away and they all chase him. Seeing that almost all of the pirates are chasing him, Qin Tian uses his superpower to speed up. The pirates assume that Qin Tian has the Fountain of Youth and blow their special horn. Qin Tian hears how ominous this horn's sound is. He continues to run away, but he notices how the pirates are doing a blanket search. He goes in another direction, but there are more pirates. He then decides to gamble on something. He sneaks behind a search team and throws a bomb toward them. Almost everyone gets blinded, but a few pirates discover Qin Tian. He runs toward a cliff and pulls something from his backpack while trusting Alex's craftsmanship. He jumps off the cliff and opens up a parachute made of donkey skin. Qin Tian starts chanting Buddhist scripts. The pirates get flustered after they see Qin Tian jump off the cliff and disappear into nothingness. Everyone starts blaming each other's incompetence until Suomeng arrives. He then asks Stein what happened and explains the fantastical things Qin Tian did. Suomeng orders them to search below to find the Fountain of Youth. Stein gets scared to go, and Suomeng doesn't have a choice but to force him down the cliff. Suomeng wants to see Qin Tian's corpse. Meanwhile, Qin Tian sighs and folds his parachute while watching the disfigured Stein on the edge. He wonders how Jessica is doing. The morning comes and the Lada people arrive at the coast. Jessica looks for Qin Tian and Nick explains that Qin Tian took on the pirates alone. Everyone gets worried, but Jessica assures them that she will not put him in danger. Later, Qin Tian is frozen on the shore. He can hear other pirates trying to find a way to go down. Qin Tian feels that he needs to find a solution to escape. He sees some tree branches washed up on the shore and starts collecting them. Just then, Sand Eagle arrives after Jessica asks it to look for Qin Tian. Qin Tian writes down on paper his location with the best possible description. He gives the letter to Sand Eagle, and the bird leaves. Qin Tian wonders how Jessica will save him. At dusk, while expecting that the rescue will arrive tomorrow, Qin Tian sees something coming. Nick and Kata look like they are rowing for an Olympic competition. Qin Tian is impressed by their speed. However, Ragna suffered being with those inhuman. They set up a tent, and the group brought in food to eat. The next morning, they all rowed the boat. They arrived at the coastal camp in the afternoon. The Lada people cheer as they see that Qin Tian and the others are safe. Jessica checks on Qin Tian and claims that everything and everyone is ready. They start sailing to migrate to the other side of the island. Jessica calls off for a break and orders the rest to put down the anchors. A tired Qin Tian slept throughout the night since they departed. He wakes up to the delicious smell of Jessica's cooking. Jessica asks what happened with the rescue, and Qin Tian narrates everything while eating. Jessica is glad that her hero is back safely. The next morning, Suomeng finds the tribal village and orders his men to capture the Lada people. However, the huts are all empty, and the village is technically deserted. Suomeng orders his men to look for them nearby. Meanwhile, Qin Tian, Jessica, and the Lada people arrive on the other side of the island. Qin Tian leads everyone to his campsite. The Lada people are scared after hearing a loud roar. Qin Tian assures them that it was his pet. Ellen comes out of the fence and greets them in Arabic. Everyone greets Ellen as the great mistress of the Mighty One, surprising her in the process. Qin Tian tells the Lada people to get inside. and he plans to explain everything to the confused Ellen later. Jessica offers to handle the tribe and suggests not making Ellen wait for him for too long. Qin Tian approaches Ellen and immediately receives a loving hug. Ellen cries as she mentions her worries for Qin Tian. Qin Tian apologizes, and Ellen immediately turns around after getting embarrassed. That night, everyone feasts on the food prepared at the camp. Qin Tian and Ellen arrive after some time. Qin Tian realizes that they need to expand the base camp. Jessica wonders if the lovebirds' time is over and claims that it is her turn now. Qin Tian hugs Jessica and thanks her for everything. After their dinner, Ellen worries about where the Lada people will sleep. Qin Tian suggests letting the kids, women, and elderly sleep in the cave while the men camp outside in the meantime. After settling down, Qin Tian takes a bath to wash his tiredness away. Everyone gets to sleep well after knowing that some conflicts are over. Noon comes and Qin Tian just woke up. He discovers the girls embracing him in their sleep. He immediately wakes them up and receives different reactions. Qin Tian later leads a team to collect bamboo. Meanwhile, Jessica and her team go fishing. Other Lada people stayed with Ellen to help with various chores. The camp's development is still in progress. Ellen recalls the first time they set up a camp without other people. Jessica and her team return after harvesting a lot of food. That night, the Lada people danced around the campfire. Jessica pulls Ellen into the dance. Just then, Chief Frasong appears and asks if he can sit beside Qin Tian. Qin Tian notices how Chief Frasong speaks in English. Hamel wonders what they were talking about. Chief Frasong explains that they are using a special language blessed by the gods. Chief Frasong claims his English was learned from the British Army. He kneels and thanks Qin Tian, who makes it clear to him that he is not a mighty one. However, Qin Tian's actions in saving the tribe are enough for him to be called one. Qin Tian acts humble, and Chief Frasong asks for his future plans. The next day comes and Qin Tian discusses with everyone their housing problems. They were all divided into 3 teams. The first team is responsible for making bricks. The second team collects seashells. And the third team is responsible for clearing the trees around the camp. Jessica's team returns with the seashells. Chief Frasong wonders if tea shells can help in building a house. Qin Tian explains that they need it to make lime mortar. In the meantime, he asks them to crush the shells into powder. Afternoon comes and Qin Tian mixes sand and the powdered shells with water to make lime mortar. He then demonstrates how to use it with the bricks and makes a simple wall for the others to follow. One member claims that the wall is soft and Qin Tian exclaims that it will take time for it to harden. The next day, everyone was impressed to see the wall harden overnight. Kata attacks the wall and concludes that this kind of wall is enough to protect them. Elder Hamel moves forward and cries that they always experience cold weather in the desert. He can remember how harsh the winter was when they arrived on the island and everyone can deeply remember it. Qin Tian assures him that their winter this time is warm. Meanwhile, the pirates are still looking for the Lada tribe. Suomeng did recall the report about them going into the fog. Knowing that they haven't experienced winter on the island yet, Suomeng plans to give up for now. He orders his men to prepare for the winter. On another day, the Lada people are fascinated with glassmaking. As a craftsman, Alux is obviously fascinated by it. With Qin Tian's suggestion, Alux immediately tries out the process. She feels embarrassed by her first product, but it is actually better than Ellen and Qin Tian's first trial. Qin Tian hopes they can make a lot of glass jars before winter and leave the task to Ellen and her team. Qin Tian later focuses on making an outline of their camp. Jessica comes to fetch him for lunch. However, at the dining table, Qin Tian, Ellen, and Jessica are already sick of eating fish. Elder Hamel wonders what is wrong, but the 3 claim that they are not just hungry. Qin Tian tries to think of something to increase diversity in food to improve their diet. Qin Tian asks Chief Frasong if the warriors can hunt a boar, and the chief confirms that they can as long as it is not a group. Chief Frasong wonders if they will hunt some, but Qin Tian claims that they will raise some in captivity. Qin Tian explains the idea to them. Frasong is happy to know that they won't hunt for food in the future if that is the case. Though it might take generations to turn them into domesticated pigs, the next day's hunt, Sand Eagle reports a horde of them, and Qin Tian reminds the others about their plan. The wild boars were just chilling until Shanbi appeared to scare them. The boars scatter, but the Lada people have already surrounded the perimeter. However, there is a huge boar among them. Kata is present to knock it out with his brute strength. They continue herding the remaining wild boars until the animals fall into a hole they have dug in advance. Everyone celebrates as they capture a lot of wild boars. The others feel disappointed that one wild boar managed to escape, but Qin Tian tells them that there is no place for it to escape. Cages on wheels arrive and everyone starts pulling out the boars from the hole. The wriggling boars are giving them a hard time, and Kata offers to lend a hand. Qin Tian stops him and shows them a trick. The boar calms down as Qin Tian covers its eyes with a piece of cloth. They have caged all the wild boars and surprised everyone back at the camp with their accomplished mission. Jessica asks Qin Tian to check something on the wall intended as a pig pen. The Lada people continue to capture more wild boars until they have captured 21 boars. After a few days, Sand Eagle reports that there are no wild boars anymore in the bamboo area. The camp is upgraded to some extent and the system rewards Qin Tian with some points. He wonders what talent he should buy next and gets confused about what to do. Ellen suddenly calls his attention and he is surprised to see a lot of glass bottles. Ellen and Alex are proud of the craftsmanship. Qin Tian then announces the start of making bottled fruits for the winter. It was a simple process of boiling peeled grapes and pineapples. They later sealed them into disinfected bottles and sterilized animal skin. The others wonder if they can really keep the fruits for several months. Qin Tian actually wants rock sugar added to them to make them taste better and be better preserved. He assures them about it and starts explaining about microbes. However, Aruba and Ragnar don't know the scientific term. The next day, Qin Tian reminds the others that the pirates can invade them after the winter season. They should improve their weapons to prepare to fight the pirates. Elder Hamel assigns Nick, Kata, and Ragnar to protect their mighty ones at their next destination. The girls get worried for Qin Tian, who assures them that he will be well. Qin Tian's team sets out and later sets up a camp to spend the night after some distance. Nick wonders what iron can do, and Qin Tian explains that it can improve their weapons. Qin Tian then shows them a pair of daggers and tells them that they are made of iron. Alex, who was trying her best before to make stronger weapons, can now see a way to improve things. She wonders if they can make the same weapon as the pirates with iron. Qin Tian tells her that they can make it better. The group soon arrives at the volcano, and Qin Tian reminds them not to swim on it. They start mining for pyrite, but they haven't found anything for 2 hours. After some breaks, they are still unsuccessful. During the night, they would fix and maintain the pickaxes. Because they have limited drinking water, Qin Tian teaches the others to collect water with dew. Soon after, Nick hits a hard surface and calls Qin Tian's attention. What Nick struck was a volcanic rock, and they have collected a lot already. Qin Tian knows they will find pyrite soon. The 4th day comes and one complains about how he found another volcanic rock. However, Qin Tian notices something. He asks everyone to continue digging. Everyone gets hyped up and soon manages to find pyrite. Qin Tian is glad that there are still pyrite reserves. That night, Alex calls what they found as ordinary stones, but Qin Tian explains that the iron is inside those stones. Kata breaks one open and claims there is nothing inside. Qin Tian explains that it needs to be processed first, but Kata just ignores him. Early morning comes and they install blast furnaces. Qin Tian hopes they can smelt a lot of iron. He plans to make pickaxes and shovels first using the smelted iron. He pours melted iron into Alex's molds and cools them down with lime water. The next day, mining was easier with the new iron tools. However, they can feel the cold weather already and expect snow after a few days. Qin Tian expects winter after a month, but Ragna explains that this is what usually happens on this island. Qin Tian can see that they have mined enough and tells everyone to clean for today. The next day, they all leave for the journey back to their camp. During their camp at night, Nick wonders how strong the iron weapons will be after seeing the iron pickaxes. Just then, Kata senses something in the bushes. A wild beast appears and Kata hits it with a shovel. Qin Tian sends out Shanbi to fight the beast. Qin Tian is surprised to see a saber-toothed tiger. He tells everyone to be careful. Ragnar gets attacked by another saber-toothed tiger, and he falls. Nick comes to the rescue and drives the beast away. A third saber-toothed tiger appears and Kata swings his shovel, but he misses. A torch gets thrown at the beast's face and it hides back in the bushes. Everyone groups together as they take arms. Meanwhile, Shanbi gets injured as he fights one of the saber-toothed tigers. Qin Tian is anxious to see ferocious beasts fighting each other. He opens the system and waits for the right time. Kata accidentally drops his shovel and a saber-toothed tiger suddenly jumps into them. However, it was a feint and Kata dodged. The others block the saber-toothed tiger's escape route and Kata strikes it with all his might. While they focus on the other beasts, a 4th saber-toothed tiger appears from behind. Just then, Qin Tian's system confirms receiving a gift. Qin Tian quickly slices the 4th saber-toothed tiger's belly. Kata strikes one of them. Nick confronts one, but Qin Tian swiftly kills it instead. Everyone is impressed by Qin Tian's speed and power. However, Qin Tian gets dizzy after using a superpower for a few seconds. Nick suggests helping Shanbi, but Qin Tian tells her to wait until Shanbi asks for help. He knows Shanbi has his own pride as a beast. Shanbi roars as he kills the saber-toothed tiger. The group continues traveling the next day and they arrive at the camp at night. Qin Tian wakes up and just notices how a lot of things have changed in the camp while he has been away. He goes to the kitchen and Ellen is happy to see him up. Ellen is glad that they are okay after the saber-toothed tiger's attack. Qin Tian asks about the camp's development. Ellen reports that there are now a lot of different functional areas in their camp. They have preserved a lot of fruits too. Viru was leading the fishing every day. Frasong also found pheasants and kept them captive. Qin Tian then asks Ellen to tell the others except those in charge of food that food will be available in the afternoon. They will now start making weapons. The next day, everyone starts making improved furnaces and even frying iron pools for making steel. Alex wonders why they need to cook the iron. Qin Tian starts explaining that there are different irons and processes to be done to get the best iron out there. Qin Tian plans to get the best steel out there. They later manage to start smelting. Qin Tian tells everyone to be careful. Qin Tian plans to copy the process used during the Han Dynasty. While he works on steelmaking, the women are making scabbards and handles for the weapons and knives. They also process the fish maw to get isinglass, a sticky material that can be used as glue. They later manage to process pig iron. Ragnar starts hammering on the ingot to remove the impurities. He wonders how many strikes he should make. He gets depressed after hearing that he has to do it 100 more times. After some time, Qin Tian can see that the first product is okay. Alex gets excited that it is now time to make weapons. With the help of kata, Alex starts processing the iron until they form it into a blade. Qin Tian puts some soil on the blade and returns it to the furnace. Aruba wonders if soil can help, and Qin Tian explains how it will turn out hard and sharp. The finished product is done, and Alex presents it to Qin Tian. Qin Tian exclaims that they can take on the pirates now. Qin Tian then starts a duel to test the iron blade against the pirate's blade that they picked up before. Kata and Nick face each other. Nick moves first and the duel starts. Ellen gets worried, but Qin Tian and Jessica tell her not to worry. Everyone wonders who will win between the two. The two clash again and everyone hears a loud clang. Kata's sword, which is from the pirates, gets broken. Qin Tian applauds the two's performance. He then checks the two blades and thinks of making other weapons like an axe. The others praise Nick's skills and wonder if she can do well against Qin Tian. Qin Tian agrees and everyone gets excited. Elder Hamel gets worried, but Qin Tian also wants to try fighting Nick. After some rest, Nick faces off against Qin Tian. She menacingly attacks Qin Tian. Qin Tian activates his superpower and quickly reacts to Nick's attack. The two continue clashing swords, and Qin Tian is genuinely surprised. Ragna is surprised by the fight and Kata claims that Qin Tian is just training Nick. Everyone tells Nick to defeat Qin Tian, and he gets disappointed. However, he got his women to cheer for him. Qin Tian then realizes why swordsmen need to practice swinging 1,000 times. He then uses his superpower to attack Nick and blinks behind her. Nick instinctively reacts and throws his sword. Qin Tian dodges it and everyone is impressed. Everyone can't keep up with their speed. Qin Tian and Nick clash one more time. Their blades clash and everyone falls silent. Nick lost her blade and everyone praises Qin Tian's strength. Hamel asks when he will marry Nick. Everyone is surprised to hear about their wedding. Frosong gets excited to prepare for the grand wedding. Qin Tian asks what is happening. Frosong then explains that in their tribe, when a man challenges a woman in a duel and wins, that is considered a marriage proposal. Qin Tian then exclaims that she will consider Nick's feelings. Frosong claims that women in their tribe hope to serve their stronger husbands. Qin Tian asks to let it slide. The Lada people can't understand them since the two are speaking English. However, Jessica and a dejected Ellen can. Frosong wonders if Qin Tian doesn't find Nick cute enough. Nick understands that Qin Tian doesn't want her and offers to leave the tribe. Frosong tries to console her, but Nick has already decided to leave. Everyone panics as Nick gets abandoned and rejected by the Almighty. Jessica steps in and claims that Qin Tian is not unwilling but rather will marry one woman every 3 years. She further claims that they need to wait 2 more years for another marriage because Ellen was the first one. Jessica will be up next, and then Nick. She assures Nick that she is too cute to be rejected. Qin Tian doesn't have a choice but to go along with Jessica's script. The crowd disperses and Jessica asks for a reward. Qin Tian refuses because he wants to live a few more years. Look at that cute pouty Ellen. Qin Tian quickly retreats. Jessica tells him to live with them in the future, but Qin Tian refuses. After that, Alex has been making weapons for everyone. Others prepare for the incoming winter. And a few days later, snow starts falling and Qin Tian recalls some memories from when he was still a student. Nick gets up early and greets Qin Tian. They both watch the snowfall. The other girls got up and Jessica wondered if they were talking about love. The two get flustered and Jessica can't help but hug the cute Nick. The children wake up and play in the snow. Everyone works in their houses, but Qin Tian is not finding the motivation to do so. The cold water brings back his senses and Qin Tian continues working on the matchlock gun's blueprint. It is an ancient weapon, but it will be effective compared to bows. However, they lack some materials based on the system encyclopedia. Qin Tian plans to make some changes. He then gets out to check on the others and it is freezing outside. He goes to the townhouse and is greeted by thick smoke. His 2 girls come running to Qin Tian for a hug. Thinking it might be worse in December, Qin Tian plans to make charcoal. Aruba wonders what charcoal is, and Qin Tian explains it as something that they use to avoid smoke inside the house. He then checks on his pets and discovers them in hibernation. Seeing the pets accustomed to the weather, Qin Tian suggests focusing on themselves instead. The next morning, Qin Tian divides himself into 2 groups. One group is responsible for making charcoal kilns, and another group is responsible for chopping the wood into pieces. Soon after, they put the chopped wood into the charcoal kiln. Qin Tian expects them to be dry tomorrow. He then asks Alex to follow him. Ellen is surprised that the next project is a gun. Alex is surprised to know that it is far stronger than a bow and arrow. However, seeing the blueprints, Alex can't see the lethality in them. Qin claims it is missing bullets and gunpowder. But first, Qin wants Alex to make the musket. Jessica can't believe that they just leapt an age. Ellen then comments on how they need someone meticulous to help Alex. Everyone knows she's talking about herself. After checking most of the blueprint, Alex calls Qin the god of craftsmen. Qin tells her to study the rest later. The next day, they check on the charcoal kilns. They bake it for more, and 10 minutes later, they get the charcoal that they want. Qin then tells them to test it out. They are glad to be warm without the smoke covering the room. Qin advises them to still leave some openings on the doors or windows so they won't be poisoned by carbon monoxide. Everyone then stores the charcoal in the storehouse. Qin can see that Ellen and Alex are serious about the new project. He plans to take it easy now. He goes out and calls Kata, Ragna, and Aruba. He cheerfully asks them to make beads together. The men start melting iron and form it into a cylindrical shape. The others wonder what the new objects are for. Qin then pours melted iron into molds with small holes. After cooling down, the pellets are put into the cylindrical apparatus, and they all spin. Qin explains that these are bullets for the muskets that are more powerful than a bow and arrow. Aruba and Ragna are happy to have a powerful weapon. Kata comments about easily killing the pirates next time and avenging their dead tribesmen. The atmosphere becomes dark. They collect the pellets, however, Qin can see that they are not yet perfect. He then asks the others to continue making pellets. After some time, the laboratory was finished. Now that the camp is complete, the others wonder what to do next. Qin then tells them to enjoy their free time and do anything they want. Everyone gets confused and asks for confirmation if they can do anything. Qin affirms, and everyone celebrates. Qin wants them to have time off for themselves while Ellen and Alex are still working on the musket. Also, to prepare their bodies for the upcoming battle, that night, howls were heard throughout the area. Qin claims that they are wolves. Nick and Kata come out along with the rest of the warriors, claiming that this is the winter beast's wave. Nick claims that it happens every winter. Jessica thinks they are searching for food outside the forest because it is winter. They only have a few soldiers and can face consequences. However, they can't just sit and wait for death. Qin, Nick, and Kata plan to go out. Qin tells the rest to keep the wolves away from the camp. The warriors then move out, nearing the source of the howlings. Just then, a louder howl was heard by the team. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.